Yeah. Ooh, it's 9 o'clock.
Who has, Kelly
we're ready to
Cole portfolio?
Me. Has what portfolio?
Kelly Cole's. I'm gonna ask Casey on the basketball update, but see if she's,
She was gonna come.
she's not in there.
Let me give you an update.
Well, I'll put Bessie down there and then you do it when I'm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll add it to the agenda.
It's just,
All right, we'll call the
Okay.
meeting order, stand for pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any additions to the agenda? Ernie?
We wanna bring up Bessieville, see what's going on there. On our bill that we owe the water board, I got some information on that for all of you. And then, make sure all of you, I don't think we got the time on it yet, but on the 24th, there's a water board hearing on all those drains assessments. And I was hoping to get a time, but I didn't this morning, so, but you got an email, Christie sent it to us, so just to make you aware that it's next Tuesday in the morning. It's in the morning sometime.
It is at 8:30.
Oh, you did get a time?
Yeah,
it's
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
I won't be here, so.
Well, there's just 3 of us have to be there, so.
Christie?
I was just gonna mention, when we were down at Commissioner Conference, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the tax credit on that House Bill 1158.
11:15?
1158.
Amy?
Just wanted to mention something about the fair. Meeting.
Christie? I don't have anything either.
Oh, and one more thing, Dave, sorry, just the update on the JDA phone. The JDA phone, there was a question last meeting, so I just wanted to clarify that. Their phone, from, like, their moving from here to, yeah.
I guess one thing, maybe a jail update when you're up.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes, pay the bills, and accept the consent agenda?
Second.
Further discussion? Call for the vote, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Motion carried. Employee time.
Adam's here to introduce the 2 new employees that we have in the jail.
Well, I'm not gonna introduce them because I messed it up so last time, so they're gonna introduce themselves. My name is Bronson Pugh, and I started about 3 weeks ago.
My name is Gary Allen, and today's my official first day.
All right,
Oh, wow.
where you guys from?
I just moved to North Dakota from Washington State last year. Yeah.
I'm originally from Park River, but right now I live in Pembina. I've been in Pembina for 21 years.
I ref volleyball here.
Yeah, I recognize you when you're around.
I know a few people. When Sheriff Jergens gives me crap about no flags in his office. I ref football, so. I told me catch your own flag, but he comes about
Make sure you take his whistle.
What brought you to North Dakota?
Just a slower pace of life and, we were 10 minutes from Portland, Oregon. So, pretty sure you get it's a lot quieter.
Yeah.
We probably bore you here, don't we?
It was kind of hard to get used to, but I enjoy it now.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
I like the winters. I don't get it,
Yes.
we all don't, but
Oh, I love them.
at least it's my second one.
I do not like storms.
So really excited.
Yeah.
No, welcome to the county.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Walsh County. And
Yeah.
of course, Gary, we know you're back in Manila.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up with this area, Minnesota, know everybody, basically everybody did, pretty much everybody that's sitting there.
Thanks for coming.
I know I'm old, you were my bat boy.
Back in the day, Mr. B, yes, RDB we used to call him. Yeah, I was his bat boy when he coached Legion in baseball in Park River,
oh, wow,
that ages both of us, I guess.
welcome.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
Something up there.
He lives in heaven.
He was at the bus stop and then he was coordinator for something. I don't know.
I thought he worked for the city up there.
That's right, city administrator.
Anything else for employee time? No, we'll move on to Tanya.
What is I asked if I've ever been called on. Good morning. I'm just here for a quick, I noticed just last night that we have 20 minutes for this. It's probably not gonna take us 20 minutes. So, we're just here to approve the second reading of the policies that we talked about a month ago. So it's the social media policy, the addition of posting in an official capacity, okay? When we're posting on social media on behalf of Walsh County is what that means, right? And then the sick leave, one simple little addition that basically clarifies that we're able to request a doctor's note at any time at our discretion rather than waiting 3 days, okay? So any further discussion on either of those policies? I have not heard any feedback. I sent those to the department heads following your first approval and received no feedback. We had discussed them also, I guess, at the department head meeting, so I wasn't really expecting any, to be honest, so.
Any further discussion on that?
Christy, Val, Kelly Cole and I attended a kind of a workshop or a breakout session that, was it in the DOT that put on Miguel? And I think those are all online. She did a really good job
Oh, great.
on, so I know they record those and those are online and there might be some department heads that would be interested. It was just a really, really good job as far as appropriateness, but you know, they had humor and I mean, there were things in it that just keep things light, but yet appropriate still.
Yeah, that was DOT, did that
It
one?
was DOT on
Okay,
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Morning, yeah.
Tuesday, perfect, thank you for sharing that. The one, I had found I have a really, like a paper copy, a hard copy of a PowerPoint that was put on by the Cass County Sheriff's Office and a couple others years ago, so it's older, but it's really good content. So I have it in my office downstairs, I intend to just scan it in and share it with everybody. I received it at a conference as well, so the credit is on there, so hopefully it's okay that I would share that, yeah.
And of course, they discussed cybersecurity and IT, and Cass County has its own IT person, of course.
Right.
But he was a great resource who even talked about like being open to being a resource for smaller counties because we discussed some of that, like the patching and I mean, it's a lot. But so yeah, he would be a very good resource as well.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the second reading.
Any motions or second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Further discussion? No, call for the vote, Christie?
Yes.
Mary? Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. I will get those updated and get it on the new website. I just got access to that website like not that long ago, so I'm still figuring it all out, but I'll make sure that current updated version is uploaded to the website as well. So.
All right,
Thanks.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Ed,
Morning.
good morning.
Diane just came, so I guess we can. Otherwise, I would have suggested we wait till 9:30.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she's here, so. All right, so I left a packet for everybody this morning for an abatement application for Diane Robertson for her property in the city of Grafton. Diane is here now and as well as Paul Hodek, who's the city assessor for Grafton in case anything arises that you would have questions for him. Ms. Overson, the abatement application is for the 2022 tax year. The original true and full value for 2022 was $160,000. Mr. Hodek and I completed a physical inspection of this property in August. At that time, we determined that the property was in good condition for its age based upon this inspection. Ms. Overson purchased the property in 2021 for $164,000. In 2022, the value was increased to $160,000 from the previous year's true and full value of $98,000. There have been many interior updates done to this property throughout the last several years that were not part of the previous assessments. So I think that was the main reason for the large increase in the assessment at that time. Mr. Rodak used a cost approach to value, using the Vanguard camera system that we utilize, calibrated to the city of Grafton market. And this indicated a true and full value of $160,000. He also looked at a comparable sales approach to value, using 7 comparable sales of one-story homes in Grafton, in that area of Grafton. And I did include Mr. Hodak's investigation report, as well as the comparable sales data that he used, as well as the printout from the Vanguard CameraVision. If you look at those comparable sales that he used, they ranged, their sales prices per square foot ranged from $116 to $149 per square foot. The average sales price was $132 per square foot, and the median sales price was $125 per square foot. The subject property at $160,000 of value would come to $125 per square foot, right in line with the average and median. So I agree that both of these approaches do support the value of $160,000. The increase from 2021 to 2022 was large, but as you know, we have increased properties by large amounts when needed and justified. So the city of Grafton denied this abatement application in September, and I recommend that the Welsh County Commission approve a motion to deny the abatement application as well.
Any further discussion on the abatement application? Does she have anything to say?
Yeah,
Can I speak now?
Yeah, you want to add anything or?
Well, I just wanted to add that, yeah, for many, many years, it was owned for 9 years by the previous people. And over the years, I did a few, updates, but I have done nothing, to the house to change the fact that it would go from 98,000 to 160. I mean, over the years, it would be like maybe 6,000 more or whatever, but to go to that amount, it's like, I just feel like it was really egregious that it was that much. And I agree that, I thought that maybe 140 was a more proper price. I don't know anybody that's had an assessment gone up $62,000.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask, what did you pay for the property?
164, but that, that the price of a property has never been really the same as the taxable amount in anywhere I've ever lived. I've lived in big cities, and that has never been a situation before. To increase it that amount, just because somebody purchased it. I was up from out of state. I didn't even see that house when I purchased it. Maybe I overpaid for it. That is no reason for you to say, well, because you paid this amount of money, that it's worth that amount. I've never seen a statement where the value, the taxation value has anywhere near the price of the property.
We've had a number of properties in the county that have had a big jump just over the last couple of years, because we've been updating all of this stuff. And yeah, you're not the first one here, and I'm sure Mr. Hodak could probably attest to that too. It's just, we're trying to catch up. Before they were maybe too low, but yeah, that's what the market is demanding, so.
I just think that I should be able to come to something where it's not so much. I don't say, but 62,000 in 1 year to increase it, I think is really not fair to me. I moved here thinking that this was a place to live where in my retirement, that wasn't so expensive. And then for them to do that in that 1 year, that's a lot of difference.
Mr. Hodak?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I would just add that I told the city council last spring that what you're gonna hear a lot of is you're gonna hear a lot of, my taxes are already too high and the increase is too large for 1 year. I understand that. My taxes are too high too, but I pay it. The point is we have to value these things at market value. That may or may not have been happening in the past, but the reality is that's my job. That's what I try to do. And if, I'm looking at the 2023 sales, and our median sales ratio in the city of Grafton right now is running at about 80%. So that means we gotta go up another 10%. That's what I'm looking at now. Those sales haven't been reviewed. That's not gonna be my final number, but we're not catching up. This program that you guys bought is going to help us catch up. It's going to make things better. This is never going to be a perfect system, but that program will make things better because we can calibrate the values to the sales. She, suggests that she didn't pay market value. The sales data suggests otherwise. She did pay market value. The fact that the home value didn't change for 10 years prior or 12 years prior, that plays into this. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen as long as I'm around. These things are gonna change. You can't be, if that home would have went up 2 or 3% every year, she would have been looking at half the increase. And that half of the increase would have been due to the fact that there were windows put in and shingles put on and new air conditioner unit, new flooring, bathrooms remodeled, all of that would have been taken into consideration. That's what happens when your values are stagnant. This is a good example.
Karen, you have a question?
Well, I just want to reiterate there, where it says there have been many interior updates done to this property throughout the last several years that were not part of previous assessment. And like Mr. Hodak said, they may or may not have been done, but I guess that's part of what happens when you don't see it. Somebody's got to pay the taxes and they weren't being paid. And it's a hard job for us to do this, and it's hard for Mr. Hodak too, but we have to go by how it's assessed. And
Amy?
I can sympathize on a personal level because at the farm, things changed a big deal for us in our home. So I personally have felt that. As a business owner, I want there to be, I want there for our economy, I want us to be at a level on all, at that point so that our economy can grow and we can be competitive too. So that market value piece, I guess, is what overarching is more important than, but like I said, I sympathize because it has definitely been a change, but I look at big picture knowing that we need to be there for our community and county as a whole.
Right. Well, I got sticker shock when I got my tax deal too, and I see Paul laughing when I moved to Grafton, bought a house, and in 1 year, it went up more than 62,000 in value. But I even got them to come down when I paid for it. So the value went up because it was on the market and I bought it. And like I said, when I got the tax statement this year, I went, whoa, but it is what it is.
same scenario in that house, there were things.
Yeah. And I have no, you know what, it's worth probably even more than what I paid for it now because I've done improvements, but I thought, holy buckets, and it caught me off surprise, but I got service out front, I got the highway, just did repairs, and part of it that you're looking at through your assessments and everything, sometimes when you get your tax bills is your streets and all your added stuff that we're gonna be paying. So, yeah, it is what it is. And, living on the farm, you didn't do it and everything else, and all of a sudden you come to town and I think my taxes they didn't double, but they were close, and I figured, you know what, I'll get it in the end.
yeah,
When I sell it or whatever. So at least I'm defending, it happens. And I don't know if it's a fair way, and we as a county, we've adjusted our soils and everything else, and we're trying to treat everybody fair. And the same thing, the most complaints we get are either out of townships or maybe the county missed something and the assessment was low and all of a sudden it goes, whoop.
Yeah.
Well, now you're getting treated like you were. you got breaks for probably 8 years and didn't pay it, and now you're paying what everybody else is. And that's a hard thing to digest when you buy something and all of a sudden see it. But to me, I think our county, our towns and our townships, we're getting to a fair taxable rate on everybody.
I want to compliment the commission on buying that software, because that is a huge first step. That's asking an assessor to come up with good equitable assessments without that kind of software is like asking a mechanic to fix a patrol with no tools.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Any further discussion?
I guess I'm just asking for a compromise. As a senior citizen on unlimited income, I'm just asking for a compromise.
So as far as assessments go, we need to follow Century Code, and Century Code requires that we value properties at market value, residential and commercial properties. There is a homestead credit program, and Ms. Holverson has applied for it. So we're working with her with that. But it will not pay all of her tax bill that year. But she does qualify for the homestead credit as well. So you guys have seen firsthand the hard work we put into our assessments in the cities and throughout the county the last 5 years to catch up.
Yeah.
And we're still, like Paul alluded to, we're still not catching up to the market because the market is ever changing.
Any further discussion?
I would make a motion to deny the abatement application for Ms. Holverson.
I'll second it.
Give it a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Now we'll call for the vote. Chrissy?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. I'm sorry, that there just isn't any room to bargain. Century Code pretty much dictates how. And it's just an unfortunate event that some properties are going up high. And it's just not much we can do about it. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for your concern and questioning the process. It's a learning process for all of us. And it's a hard one to swallow for taxpayers, so. Anything else, Ed?
That's all I have for you, unless you have something else.
I do have one thing. I don't know if this would be the appropriate time on that House bill that I was going to discuss on the tax credit. And just wanted to, I have my notes on my phone. So when we were at the conference this past week, one of the sessions that I attended was on House Bill 1158 for the tax credit for your primary residence. And I hope I have that House Bill correct. Maybe I heard wrong.
I think that's right.
Okay, it is. But, so it's my understanding, and Ms. Holverson, this may help you out some as well. But it's my understanding that it is something that was passed by the legislature. Karen, you can chime in if you want, for the 2024, 2025 tax years. And it would be up to a $500 tax credit based on your primary residence.
Correct.
Okay, so my concern is when they went over this, the reason I'm bringing it to the commission is we're going to have a time crunch as far as accepting applications. And they are going to only be accepted electronically, is my understanding.
That is the way they set it up, and I believe that is all going through the state tax department.
Yes, so nothing will come to the county. They're going to handle all of it?
They were given, the state tax department, I believe, was given 1 year to come up with a plan on how to administer this. I haven't.
They talked about it.
Details yet.
Yeah, the way they talked there, it was
There's
going to be
some
done
work.
at the county, and we were going to have to either get kiosks or somehow we were gonna have to handle this in a 3-month period. They said January, because they're not opening it up till January 1 of 2024 because of Century Code. They can't open it prior to that. And they said we would have basically 3 months to process it, and there was a lot of concern from several of the tax directors that had attended this meeting as to how we're going to handle this workload in such a short amount of time. So that was my concern, Ed, that, you know, we need to be planning too, but if you think it's all going to the state, great.
Well, that was the original intention of the bill. Now, what the state tax department's coming up with, I haven't heard a word. Have you, Paul?
No.
I've heard word from state tax department.
Yeah,
so.
they said it's going to be a huge workload for the tax director's office in a short amount of time. So now maybe they were talking state, but based on the number of upset people in that room, I think they were thinking it was coming out to the county.
I think there's definitely gonna be some work that falls on the county because, yeah, they originally said it was all gonna be all online application.
If they can't handle it, you know it's coming back here.
So, but what that is gonna entail, I have no idea. If this is this kiosk thing, that's first I've heard that.
Yeah, it was one idea that
That
somebody
is
had brought
just
up.
an
as a
idea,
kiosk.
that's some-
Yeah, it was nothing set in stone, but they said, well, how are we gonna handle this? Because we have a lot of people, you know, their concern was, we have a lot of people that aren't going to have, you have to have an email address. They won't have an email address and they won't know how to run the computer, so they were talking, well, you'll have to get help from someone, and then they said maybe a kiosk at the county. So that's what led me to believe this was gonna be at the county level, but they did say they are going to send out the info in the 2023 tax statement. That there's going to be
Yes.
something coming where there'll be a blip on the 2023 final tax statement. That's what they said there.
I'm not sure how they're gonna do that because we each run our own programs, so that's gotta be in the programming of the tax
And
statement.
that was the state
I
tax
think
director
it's
that
something
said that.
extra that they were trying to figure out what to put in there that could go in that envelope.
As a separate letter.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
then that's gonna fall on
yep,
the treasurer's office. When they're stuffing envelopes or
Yep.
they outsource it.
yep.
So I hope that's coming out soon. if That's the case.
Well, there's plans to do that, and, I don't know, I mean, there's, the time is from January first till whatever, I'll say
April
April
1st.
first. They're not processed in that time, that's when they can apply for it,
That's the
and
application
then they
period.
will, right.
Mhm.
So I guess it's just like with a lot of things, a lot of, you know, like if you have an older parent and they don't have an email, they don't do things electronically, then you have who takes care of them, do it. I mean, we just have to figure out a way. People are getting $500 off their kid. They don't have to do it. It's just,
Right, if they don't apply, they don't get it.
yeah,
And even if they apply and they already have an exemption, say that their taxes
So
are
much.
supposed to be 500 and they have an exempt, some type of exemption up to 300,
Yeah.
then they would only get 200. So they want everybody to think I'm gonna get an automatic 500 because I have a
Yeah.
primary residence. You know, we have a lot of farmstead exemptions, right? So that's their primary residence.
yeah, they don't get an exemption
Right.
on that, and, I mean.
Right, then they know
if
it's
they're-
$500 tax credit
Credit.
because.
Right,
When this bill was in session, I emailed some of the representatives and senators, I think Karen was one of them.
yeah,
With my concerns about how this is gonna be administered and the fact that I think we're going to miss a lot of people that would most greatly benefit from this credit because it's gonna be online and those things. And I don't know what the answer is, but I know they've heard those concerns.
and they have, like Christie did say that, some counties will have kiosks that somebody will come and help them with. And maybe it is a relative, maybe it's the auditor, the tax, I mean, I know it's more work, but
I think the first thing we have to find out is who's doing the work, the state or the county?
The county is
Prepared if
doing
it's-
it.
Okay, so
the
that's what
county's doing it.
that's what I
The
understood
state
too, but you said
administered it.
but you said you understood the state was taking care of it, correct?
I've got the email from, Edmund, Sharon Edmund.
Yeah, well, I don't think that was what was in the bill though, when he probably gave you that email.
You might want to check with the state.
Well, he
tax
does, I mean, you know, Chairman Headland doesn't, he can tell you something.
Stop and think of when the state does something.
Yeah,
And I'm not blaming the state, they always put it in the hands, because we're the central, not the county. We're gonna administer, it, just like highway or their township programs, who administers our highway department.
I
I can just about guarantee when it comes down to it, we're gonna have some step in there, or we're gonna be doing the work.
Definitely.
Yep, yep.
It's just
Mr.
not
Chairman.
what that's gonna entail.
I would rather have you administer it or us than the state administer it.
If they give us enough time, that's what always scares me, they put the timeline on us and then we're crunch.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
because I trust Ed better than,
right,
because he knows our county, you know, and everything else. But hopefully, instead of when they administer it,
I think-
all of a sudden say, we gotta do it, they give us some time to do it, so we
Yeah.
can make sure we get
The
everybody.
timeline is set,
yep,
January
that's the
1
trouble
to
with it.
April 1,
yep.
3 months.
Some people, it'll fall through the cracks. They'll hear about it, they'll do it next year. it's just the way it is. Not everybody, and I understand that the people who really need it, but, you know, I don't know what else to say about it.
Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah. well, I appreciate that.
He knows all about it.
Well, I knew that he knew about
Yeah.
it, but I knew you weren't at that session we were at, so I'm already finding that maybe you didn't know that this was coming to the county, that you thought it was going to the state. The way I understand it's coming to the county, so we need to be prepared. We have to have employees that can handle the workload in that short of a time, so would you just check maybe with the state tax director? So I didn't misunderstand, but I'm pretty sure it was county.
It is, I know it
The
is.
meeting, because now we'll get some press on it,
Yeah.
and all of our homeowners will be aware that it's available.
Right, that this is available, yes.
Hopefully, when you talk to them guys, there's not everybody that's got a computer or goes on texting or cell phone. Get it out in the media, to the papers, to the radios, to TV. Because there's a lot of older people that don't probably have one of these.
They know that.
Yeah,
They know.
they'll watch TV in the local news, because they always do, the older people, and they still hear it. And I think that's one of the greater ways.
From what I understand, it's an annual application too.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Hmm.
Well, things change, I mean,
For
so,
sure. There's gotta be.
yes.
All right, anything else, Brad?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks for bringing that up. Christie.
All right. Mr. Burris?
Thanks, Mr. Hodak. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay if I have some paper to you.
Oh, we love paper.
Were you warm in the Ranger the other day?
Not bad. So what we're doing is we're gonna upgrade our firearms. Our handguns were purchased back in 2012, so our handguns are 11 years old. And like a gun, it's like a car, it needs maintenance. So for us to upgrade our firearms, there's 3 different quotes in here, just so you can see. It's roughly gonna cost us, with trade-in value and different stuff, about $100 a gun. To upgrade to Gen 5, 40s, MOSs. And I'll explain how that makes sense. I did reach out to all the different firearms dealers in our counties, only one of them actually produced a bid for us. And you can see there's a vast difference between the different companies. On Mr. Sudas, you can omit the optic in the holster for now. That's something that we will need to get later for these firearms.
So is that the bottom 2?
Yes, yep,
So that'd bring,
right on top. This is $9,300.
including that 620?
That's each.
That's each.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Okay.
here's the breakdown though. So the lowest one being 481, the highest one being 620. So for me, why I'm here is I'm trying to get us to be able to purchase local. And I'll try to make it make sense to you guys, the difference. So they get trade-ins for our firearms. So for Kiesler's, they're gonna give us $245 a gun. You can see it and stuff. And then with the firearm sales, they're gonna give us $300 a gun. So if you offset the price difference between the high and the low, it ends up being about $84 a gun if we buy local.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So when you're buying from Kiesler, this is a big company.
Correct.
When you're buying local, he doesn't sell 500,000 guns a year.
That's correct.
So you get the local, you know, he's here or
And like I said, at the end of the day, it's $85 per gun difference.
You're probably gonna get better service locally than you will from somebody way away.
What's that times
It's
50?
easier to deal with.
85 times 15.
84 times.
About $900.
$1,260.
Say 1,300.
1260?
$1,260.
And the Spartan firearms, I don't mind if that's just a different,
That's, I think I'm on, I believe.
okay, so you're kind of.
I just at the bottom of the top. Yep.
So did you say Vance or Dakota Firearms was 300 per gun, but did the 620, wasn't that per gun too?
The trade-in. So Ben is gonna give us $300 for our current firearm.
Okay, oh, okay, that was the $300.
Yep.
And Keesler's is 245.
Correct.
Per gun. Trade-in.
Everything the same otherwise? Apples to apples?
Yeah, they're the same gun all the way across. It's,
It's just that by the time we do maintenance on our gun, we're put optics and different magazines and stuff. Realistically, like you said, it's $100 to upgrade our firearms. Plus with the MOS is we have the ability to put optics on our firearms, which is gonna increase accuracy of the deputies when they need it.
Definitely want accuracy.
And you guys have a lot of service on your guns? I mean, would you, my question is, would you appreciate the local service that you need?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of sending them away and then you think, yeah.
Ben's a good asset to have, and as well as Scott, supporting somebody that can help us with our gun needs is crucial. You can call it Keesler, but, who do you get? You know, it is, I know it's more money, but I think it's worth the service in the end.
I agree.
Well, the county buys a lot of things and we're finding out sometimes we don't get the service or the support of the product we buy. And locally here, at least we can chew down a little bit. And I'm sure we won't have to. I think he does a good business.
He does.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we go with the Dakota Firearms Supply for purchasing guns.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? When would you get them? When would you switch?
All I have to do is give Ben a call and we get our firearms for us.
Any training involved with?
Just standard qualifications and stuff with you guys.
Question? Got it in budget?
I do.
Good. Okay.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote, Karen,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
myself, yes. Motion
Thank you.
carried.
When we get to holster and the optics, bids, we'll be back for those, but, we want to get the guns ordered and, get those coming, but, Rich is gonna work on the optics and the holster bids, and then we'll come back with those.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ron, how long did you hear? You want to give us a jail update? Thanks, Richie.
Thank you. Last week, Thursday, we had a jail meeting. We have another one coming on Thursday at 10 o'clock, so, Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Karen, can you and Ernie attend this one?
I got a chiropractor appointment.
I hope I can. I'll make sure I can be there.
So these are still the kind of
This is-
individual ones?
This is the last meeting before they come to the commission, yes.
You couldn't do it in the afternoon, could you?
We're fitting in their time frames, and apologize for that.
I'll make sure I can be here.
10.
It's
What
10,
time's the meeting?
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get out of that chiropractor. I think this is pretty important.
Switch it,
Yeah.
It is the last small group meeting before they come in person, to give us the numbers and show us a diagram.
How long of a meeting, in case I can move my appointment?
Um,
2 hours probably.
It-
Well,
the other one wasn't that long, that one you were in was long.
oh,
It is roughly about an hour.
Yeah.
okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I'd really like you to
Yeah,
look at the plans.
no, I can switch today, maybe, I'll see.
So, we're again gonna meet by Zoom, with Tom, the jail expert, and then Scott, the architect, and then Sid is always, of course, on the meetings, and it is the, wrap up the plan stuff and get that ready to present to the commission on November 7th. So that they will be here in person on that date, and,
Which date did you say?
November 7th, I
Okay.
believe.
A regular meeting?
Regular.
The regular meeting, yes. So we'll have to put that on the agenda and block out some time.
You thought they were actually coming with a,
Scale diagram, yes, modeling, yes. That's my understanding of it, yes.
So
No,
10 o'clock Thursday?
10 o'clock Thursday, and down in the planning room.
Fine.
So they're gonna have a regular scale model?
That's what I understand.
On Thursday?
No.
Oh, on the seventh, I'm sorry,
I will clarify that.
I think
At the next meeting, but that's what I understood.
If you don't like something, we can take it apart.
I'm just thinking of how Todd can present this in the paper at that time.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we had talked about, they had a couple of different designs, so is that kind of what these two, if Karen and Ernie go, then we'll just weigh on which one they present as the model? As traditional versus modern?
So they went with the traditional one and incorporated that into the drawings.
I agree.
And it looks very nice. It incorporates the architecture of the courthouse into the new,
Yes.
into the new building, and it, along with the window design and all that, so it looks very natural with the rest of, compared to the modern one, which had some arcs and different stuff in it, so. I also reached out to Paul Laney with Elevatus, and to keep him in the loop on what's going on. And they're very interested in being a part of this process too. So they asked for the study to be sent to them, and they want to, of course, be a part of the process too. So.
And he's who again? Because I don't know if I was.
Paul Laney is he's the one that helped me get in contact with the Samuels Group, but he also is now with a new architect firm that when we toured the jail in Indiana, that was their design, the Elevatus is.
Is he the ex-sheriff?
He is.
Yeah, okay,
ex-sheriff,
I thought so, okay, that's. Okay.
So would he be another option, or you're saying more of the internal architecture he would be part, as far as a different?
Yes, as far as, instead of Klein and McCarthy being our architect, they have their own architect firm, Elevatus does, and they design, jails like Klein and McCarthy does, and, they would be competition for
For the bid?
right.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Which I think is excellent. We definitely need more than one bid.
They're
Keep it honest.
very excited to be part of the process, and I want them to, I think competition is a good thing, and it
Absolutely.
keep our costs down where we can, so, yeah, 10 o'clock on Thursday, is our next meeting, so.
Do you remember how many square feet we were talking?
They were gonna nail that down, because I think there was some,
Yeah,
there was still some question yet on,
Yeah,
working that out, but we'll get that nailed down at this
Yeah.
meeting, before they come. We'll have that after this meeting. And we should have a cost estimate to be brought to the commission meeting on the 7th, so. We're definitely making progress, and I know it's stalled out for a time, but everybody's committed to make sure we keep this process moving, so.
yeah, that's for sure.
Any questions for me about that?
How about that, Jeremy? Do you want anything more on Besseville?
I have not heard from, I know Kelly was working on Veselyville.
Karen?
I got a text yesterday from Herb Windsor, and the big truck was moved and the camper.
It was.
Yeah, Denton was supposed to get out there and do
Well, I don't know if Denton did.
He said to the south side.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's just moved, it's
Okay.
just moved to the south side. I don't know that Denton did.
No, Denton did not.
No.
'Cause
Okay.
We were not part of that.
Yeah,
process.
so,
Yeah.
that area is cleared. There's still a bunch of junk around there, but
Not big.
it's those places. I don't know about the north side, but
That dumpster was still there the last time I was there. It's been about 5 days since I went to there. I guess my concern with Kelly too is is where they looked with the state health department and, I mean, we talked about it at our planning and zoning. I would like to jump on that and maybe you can find out from her. If not, Karen, I'll call her because I want to move forward with that planning and zoning because Grand Forks was doing something and we were looking into it. So I just wonder where that's going.
Yeah, go ahead then, Ernie, if you're doing the planning and zoning thing.
You don't mind,
Yeah.
do
No,
She has the health department reports, like that's who they're in her hands.
you? Well, but we were also looking at an ordinance change in the planning and zoning.
Mhm.
Because she was gonna follow somewhat what Grand Forks is changing theirs or something, and she was gonna work with them and see what they're doing. So, I mean, the quicker we get that done too, the more footing we have, or whatever you wanna call
Winter
it.
is coming, one way or
Yeah,
another.
and that's my concern.
Yeah.
I gotta call about the
See,
roads
I
are
know,
starting to move, so
Oh, yeah.
we can't get this moving fast enough.
I agree, no, I agree.
And just shifting things from one spot to
Yeah, it's
another
just-
is not solving the issue.
Oh, but see, it's on his property, and that's where,
If it's moved off of the right of way onto his property,
yeah,
I guess that's a step in the right
It
direction.
is because,
but that's not what we
But
want.
it's not going to stop the rodents.
No,
oh, no, but
But even just the right of way, I mean, from, like my husband will say, those are huge risks
Oh,
for
it's horrible.
Right, I agree, getting our right of way cleared is wonderful, but
well,
accidents.
rodent wise.
Well, and that's why I
We
don't wanna
need
say
some-
push Kelly, but we need some more footing.
Yeah,
Cause it's only gonna get, I got a complaint from the guy down on the other side of the church to the east for rats, and we've got a couple, 4 or 5 vehicles, and I said, oh boy. I wasn't aware of that one, but he's apparently been there for a while, so, you know what, we're in the booth, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they came from there over to there. I
you
don't know.
never know.
I do. All right, anything else, Ron?
that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Thank you, Ron.
Anything new at the convention out there on the sheriff's department?
I was voted in as vice president of our association, so,
Oh, congrats.
yeah. Vice president
Congrats with
is
the-
the law here. I moved up from secretary treasurer to, so
It's a good move.
It is. It'll be good.
It's,
Mr. Chairman,
I think it's an honor for you to have
Yeah,
that position.
for sure.
I don't know if Richie told you, I talked to him the other day, they were going out with the Ranger in that, four-wheeler.
Mhm.
And we were talking about it and heating and cold and everything else, and I said, you know, guys, if you really have to do something extreme in the winter, I get the Ranger with tracks and the heater, if you have to use it, call me. It's in town here and everything else, so,
At some point, I'm going to have to put a new Ranger in our
wow.
budget. I think it's been a lemon since the minute
Oh.
Lauren bought it.
Really?
And it is to the point where we need to do something with it. It's not reliable, and to have a piece of equipment that's not reliable is not a good
Yeah.
thing.
And that's what he said, and I said, you know what, just call me, you guys can use mine if you need it.
I appreciate that. I just, not having something on our own
Right,
that is reliable is not a good.
but by the time you can order one and get one, if you, don't be afraid to call me.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I got cold just listening, talking about the heater. I had one with the heater like that, and it didn't do anything, and I'm going, wow, this mine with the heat and everything, it'd be
We
nice.
bought an aftermarket heater and
Yeah.
aftermarket cab, and we had problems from the get-go with that thing.
You can take them over to Sam's and put them two there, I know what it's like, Yeah.
It's not
they're not
a
good.
good thing.
Don't be afraid to call if
Is
you
it
need
good
it.
otherwise?
Well, I wouldn't want you to buy it, no.
What's that?
I would trade it in. That's what I would.
Give it to somebody.
Somebody else's headache.
Yeah.
It is good for trading. I don't know that I would want, it is not dependable and we need something that is.
You look at something new or used?
I think we should get a new one, and trade this one off on it.
Heater, cab, tracks,
Yes,
you're probably looking at 30 plus now.
this one has tracks.
Oh, on just a Ranger, okay.
Ranger with the tracks and the heater and the cab.
Yeah.
It's not an inexpensive thing.
No,
I'm surprised you didn't buy the turkey.
I was
yeah,
gonna
depends if you load her up with air and everything, yeah. And you might not have a choice, they come in that way now,
With air?
yeah.
Oh my. It's a little more than we need, but
But, yeah, like I said, you won't get a choice, you have air and heat.
It's like a package.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes with new, just if you can have with use, you don't always get your warranties and, you know, and that stuff can.
having a warranty when you're, when
Can
you're
matter.
using it like we use it is definitely a good thing to have.
Henry's got a lot of them.
There's a lot around for sure. Thank you very much.
Maybe you wanna update on the fair?
Well, it's just, I was just gonna announce that in the meeting that it's this week, and they're doing a Bulls and Bronx, so they're having a rodeo on Saturday night, at the fair. The board has done a great job, I mean, had several fair meetings, and they've been very organized, and just, they really do a good job putting it on, and
Where is that gonna be held at?
this is at the fair, like at the, is it the Sam Maker? Would that be the right arena?
Yeah.
Just the
Chris
arena.
McGarden, I'm sorry. So, that's all I had on that. And then I was just gonna say on the JDA phone piece, I asked in our last meeting, because we had kind of said what's gonna happen when being they're not in the courthouse anymore, now they're at the Chase Building. And what Stacy Sivany said is that, they will advertise that, and they will also send an email to all the department heads, because there will be a new number, it will be a different number. So I just made them aware that, to make sure everybody, so if they were to call, they'd be able to get to the right place, but Stacy's way ahead, so she'll get that done. But that's all I have.
Water board bill?
I probably should wait till, Jason gets here on that one. And then you all know about that meeting next.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm gonna put it on my calendar right now, 8:30 next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll discuss that joint powers.
8:30 next Thursday,
The waterborne one
Yeah,
for those assessments. The
I
three,
have Tuesday,
or yeah, I said, yeah, it's Tuesday,
the 24th.
24th. Yeah, 24th. There's what? I think there's about 4 of them on there. Trainings.
yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Did you say something about a meeting after that?
Water board.
You had said a commissioner meeting at 10?
At 10 after. Can we take like a 5-minute break?
Sure, we'll take a 5-minute break here. To order. Jason?
Morning.
Good morning.
It's lots of, that time of year where we're getting a lot of drainage permit applications and utility permit applications. I handed everybody out a packet of utility permits that came in after, just some of them yesterday afternoon, some Friday, from Holbrook. So those are the first kind of things out, from those portions, so you know. First, if Wade doesn't want to sit here for everything, I'll turn it over for him on a couple of things with bridges that we have coming up and the statuses of where we're at right now.
So yeah, I guess the first thing I want to touch on, the two bridges that we're hoping to bid here in December, we have to finish getting right away for them. So both of them are off the section line just slightly. Well, one is just slightly, the other one is basically in the middle of the section. The one west of Edinburgh and Thorson's, by Thorson's house there. So we have, our right-of-way group does the market analysis. They look at previous sales, determine the land values. That's what they use for the permanent acquisition, and then it's 10% of that for any temporary. So for the west side over by Thorson's, they came up with a value of 2,200 an acre for permanent, so it's 220 for temporary. We do have a fairly small footprint on that one, so all of them are under the DOT minimum payment. So we go through the process, it's a requirement by DOT. Ultimately, we end up doing the state minimum on them, which is 600 and 300. The other site, that's just kind of by the Hankey Farm to the east of Park River. That one, they had a value of 4,800 for permanent and 480 for temporary. We only need to get one piece of permanent. It is off of the section line because it curves across the river perpendicular. So that one is really slightly above the state minimum. It's right about 900 for that piece, and then all of the temporary will be below the state minimum. So there's 3 different parcels we have to get for temporary easements to be able to build
So
it.
these easements weren't in place when these bridges were built originally?
No. So there's a statutory right of way, and so anything outside of that, we get temporary for, as we're building it, they need a file dirt or something. And then there's nothing on file. I think the one east of Park River, that was 1918 or something when it was built. So I don't think there's any records
They
of
were just
that.
happy to get a bridge.
Right.
For the mortgage.
So I guess essentially I was just looking for a motion to approve those values. It's pretty standard for what we typically see on those two parts of the valley. So I guess, I don't know if you guys have any other questions.
When were they gonna start?
Yeah.
The Hankey one to FEMA one, right?
Not
DOT.
Yeah, so it's DOT funded.
Right.
So that one, we have our SHPO clearance now, which was a big hurdle. So we have that, we're hoping to bid it in December.
What's your guess on cost?
On cost.
Million plus?
That one was about $1 million, and then I think the one over by Thorson's was about 800, somewhere in that. So these ones are both off system, part of the DOT's BRJ bridge program. So they're 100% covered by DOT.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Nice.
and so that's.
Are things settling down with some of the prices and the stuff on, when you bid something a year later, it ain't surprise, or is it settling down some?
Yeah, I mean, it's plateaued. It seems like that, we had that real fast spike right when all this funding came out. It seemed like it's kind of plateaued now, where we can at least be close on our estimates. But
And these are both cement bridges?
one's the one east is a cement bridge, and the one in Thorson's is box covered with
Aluminum?
aluminum option.
Aluminum box.
Yeah, so.
You tell the state to start inspecting them?
Send a notification now.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve KLJ's, is it the easement?
Yeah, market
Bids,
analysis.
market analysis.
For a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? That one on Thorson's, that's not a through road there, is it? No.
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 Yeah, it's their sole access essentially.
Yeah.
Want the residents on the opposite side.
Yeah, there's residents there now.
That's what?
There's residents there now.
No.
When you talk about FEMA one, that would be the Munson Bridge that we have going on right now that washed out this last spring in 2023. We've had FEMA here to do an inspection. We've had their cultural here to do an inspection, and their cultural decided that we need to do a cultural study. So now I have to reach out to Wade to have their staff, they have cultural coming up here to do two bridges at the same time, to try to keep our costs down, to add this to their list of things they have to do. So now we have to do a cultural study. With that cultural study, we have to figure out where, if we take it out, where we're gonna temporarily put it and have whatever else. And so when we take it out, the cheapest way for us to take it out is gonna be in pieces.
Where's that? Which bridge on?
Yeah, what's Munson, what's the Munson?
By your house, the Munson's.
Oh, you call that the Munson Bridge?
Well, it's.
He's got two bridges now over there?
For a little bit.
When you have two bridges within 100 feet, I guess.
Munson two.
Yeah, that's it.
I thought that's what you're talking about, but
Right, the one in Fertile.
the big one is his bridge.
Yeah, so one in Fertile Township, which breaks it down to
Yeah.
15.
Yeah,
bridges.
15. Okay,
But that one, so now that process by going through FEMA to try and get some funding and some different pieces from them for this is just extending it and making things longer. I got calls from farmers and Silver Lakes that farm next to it, worried about it being there. And when I told them last night, I had the same concerns about that being here this spring. That thing is still standing in the spring. We're gonna have issues with ice jams and tree jams.
Don't we have, isn't there a big bridge just a mile
we've got
east of there?
There's just
Yeah, mine.
within a half a mile, there's a big concrete one that's
Mine.
right there.
the Anderson Bridge.
That's a north-south bridge that's washed out, so it'd be,
That would be,
So we're gonna end up replacing two bridges
well,
eventually.
are you talking about the one going to Jim's, that little one?
no, that little one is fine for right now. The one, with this one, we're kind of been talking about not replacing it with a bridge, but trying to figure out some sort of a modified Texas local crossing, so they can still get the larger equipment in there to access the fields.
Well, I guess my question is, why are we spending this money when we're within a half a mile of another big major cement bridge?
On the east side of this one, there's a Texas crossing that you can't get equipment through there very well. It's so steep and low that the equipment doesn't cross, and there's fields and access right there for, it's basically one field, but there's access to get to that field. And
Yeah.
that they really don't have for larger equipment.
It's a tough area because it's like this
Lines,
and
crosses.
yeah, it's a tough area.
There's like the triple culvert, two small bridges, the Texas crossing, this bridge, the concrete Munson Bridge, and the one by Karen's house, all within a mile and a half of each other.
Isn't that a little excessive? I mean, I'm just saying, we're spending a lot of money on a mile and a half.
Well, nobody can get through my bridge with any equipment.
Well,
Not that they,
I know, but
Yeah.
it's,
No,
well, he's gotta have access to that field. And he
can't come
doesn't,
in from the north.
no, it winds around, maybe it's cheaper to buy that piece of land.
I think it probably would be.
Well, I
I
mean.
don't know.
it's not that big of a, it may be a possibility, but they still come in and out of that field to get to
Yeah.
the different pieces, so
Yeah,
I don't
but
know
it's
what's in that one,
surrounded
but-
by,
I agree, there's a lot of bridges in that section of Fertile Township and a lot of these townships, you know, if you look at the two in Golden that we had to close on the same day that they're a mile away from each other.
I know.
One was built 1914, the other was built 1918. We have a lot of bridges and that are ponies that are all in that same status where they're down to minimums, they're down to 3 tons, and you still have people driving over them with tractors, trucks, loaded, empty, that are all over the tonnage basis. So there's not much we can do about them, honestly, because with the pony trusses, we can't weld them, we can't fuse them, we can't repair them. Once they're gone,
I look at that bridge we just placed east of Portville, you know, and it would go Mike Porter's bridge or a mile west. And we made that township make a choice, which one do you want?
right,
And now here, we're just dumping bridges in
Well, we haven't dumped anything in there yet.
Well, not yet, but they're slated to be replaced.
Mhm.
And I,
And we're gonna have to make decisions on those. There's some townships that, like Martin, Township we've had discussions with and talked to them where there's 2 bridges that in the next round that comes out that we're working on contracts for. We'll have 3 bridges that we're gonna replace and 3 bridges we're gonna remove from the system entirely. Those 3 bridges are all on minimum maintenance dirt roads.
yeah,
And the townships have, basically told townships, if it's on a dirt road, we're not gonna maintain the bridge to it.
if they don't maintain the road, why should we maintain the bridge?
Right, because we're paying for inspections on all 3 of those bridges too. So it's $1,000, $800 every time we do an inspection on that bridge. If there's no road to it, there's no reason to have a bridge to it.
Right.
What did the township say about this bridge? Fix it, replace it?
This one they want back.
Well, how many parcels are back there that are formed? At least 2, not 3,
I think 3,
3.
and there's 3 back.
No other way for them to get there.
How big are the parcels?
I'd have to.
On the north side, how big is that piece there? Yeah.
What do you guys, I mean, you
80
know,
acres?
Yeah,
I mean, we can get them to come in too. We're not gonna make a decision without them coming in and,
Well, the township will have
our
that.
township.
The trouble is we always, how do I wanna say it, is a county, you gotta have them, give them access to the land,
Yes.
don't we? That's the sticker.
That's. And I mean, doesn't matter, that's my area, but for your area, I would say they need access to get in and farm that piece of land that's worth.
And there's no, that's such a cluster in there that I don't know how
It
else
is,
they get in there.
it is.
I just think it would be helpful to have a map in front of us, so
Yeah.
we could all be looking at this information, because you know where it is, but I'm trying to picture, and I'm trying to picture this river, and are we talking, we're spending $1 million for a 20-acre parcel, or are we spending $1 million for 600 acres? I don't know.
Oh, no,
because
it's
I'm
not
sitting there with-
600, it
Okay,
wouldn't even
but how do I
question.
know that? We
Yeah.
have nothing in front of us to look at.
Well, I think he just.
I
brought
wish
it up
we could
about-
take you guys out there, we could
I
come in from the
Well, I
west
could look
end.
at a map and tell.
I
Yeah,
just
well,
brought it up
it's-
because
it's-
we talked about the FEMA right now. The only thing we're dealing with FEMA right now is just trying to get that one out. That's all we're trying to do.
Just to get, yeah.
Get that bridge out, so we don't have to eat the entire cost of doing it. And by doing it, we're having to accrue more costs just to remove the bridge.
I just wanna make sure we're treating everyone the same, all the townships the same. You know, if we're saying
We are.
you only get one bridge within a mile.
No, that's what we're working on. Everybody is being treated the same. And
This is a different
we're
situation.
working on corridors and trying to things, and that's one of the things the state is trying to push on, out of townships too, is corridors. Pick which runs, pick which roads you're gonna have, pick which ones you're gonna maintain, and let's move forward, because we can't maintain it all. You can't afford it. In the last Upper Great Plains study said that we need $17.1 million a year to maintain the level of our asphalt, gravel, and bridges. It's unattainable. 100% unattainable. And if it wasn't for the BRJ funding that the state is giving us right now for replacing these different bridges, or removing these different bridges, we wouldn't be doing
I
anything.
mean, I'm glad we've got that, but it's still taxpayer money.
100%.
Yeah, it's state money, but it's still taxpayer money.
Well, there's a lot of decisions before we even okay it.
Yep.
Get that one removed, like you said, so you could save money on it and then go from there.
Yep. So, and other than that, we're still waiting for bridge inspections, on 8 and 6 for the completions of those projects. We're still sitting there, so, on
Do you still have the camera up there?
battery died, so the camera
Okay.
came down.
That's
Lots
good.
of pictures.
That's good. Because we went scouting last night and I checked out the bridge.
Mr. Chairman, so I remember Wade you bringing up at our DOT meeting, asking them about you guys inspecting, because I agree with you, it's really difficult to be, when you have a bridge that's technically able to be open, and then you still have, I mean, you have to be able to answer, we're mid-harvest, like, this is our livelihood, so you're still waiting to hear an answer from them on whether you guys can do these inspections, because at least that would help going forward. When you talked about, we worry about people going around signs when there's no bridge there and they fall through, when there's a bridge that is really should be open, they're gonna go around it, you're running into a real fear going forward.
There is that fear, but there's also the common sense. When there's in a 4 mile stretch, there's 4 signs that tell you the road is closed, find another route. And when the road is closed, it's probably for a reason. We're not doing it just because we're out there saying, let's see, how can we make it a big pain for everyone to get around and do their jobs and make their living today? If it's closed, it's for a reason, whether it's construction, there's bridges down, whatever. When it's closed, don't go around the signs, because you don't know what you're gonna be running into. You're putting your own life at risk.
Well, we just hope that the inspectors don't come out and all of a sudden they see someone go across it or something, then we're liable to the county too. That's why the signs are there, it's
Any
closed.
idea when they'll be out?
I haven't heard anything. We did reach out, yesterday and left, Ken's voicemail, but we haven't heard back yet. Or it was one of my coworkers and I called him together. He probably called him back, but as far as I know, we haven't heard back. And so just to kind of piggyback off that, I'm sending the inspection on for the Fordville Bridge in today. You know, even though it'll be a couple weeks probably before we can open it. I'm sending it in today so that they can get on their list. You know, hopefully when they come up to look at 8, they can run over, look at Fordville and say, it looks good. Once guardrail goes on, send us a picture and you're fine to go. So trying to expedite that a little bit. The progress of that one, the deck is poured. They're working on some dirt work and everything, brought back up behind the abutments. Hoping to pave it on Monday. And yeah, that one's progressing along pretty quickly.
And Swingin and Clayton did really good work to get us to the point where we should have been where we want to be. So we should have been open.
Excellent progress, really fast.
Well, and if trucks are driving there, which they have been, there is a soft spot by that bridge.
There's gonna be, they just counted.
Well, right, and I thought, wow, I'm coming here, how many trucks have come here at 50 miles an hour? And they probably slowed down because they saw the road closed sign, but still, they're not doing any good to that road there now, that soft spot.
And this might sound bad, but I wouldn't go fix a soft spot and everything else
No,
until it's open.
that's-
Leave it soft.
Yep.
You break something in there, that's their liability, not ours. It's the only way we can control speed and everything until we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it either, but our hands are tied. We're following the regulations.
The speeds.
All right, let's
Speeds
move
are
on.
causing issues.
Didn't you need a motion?
I made a motion.
You got it?
You seconded, we haven't voted.
We haven't voted, that's what it is, I'm like, we're off track here.
Yeah. Okay, we have any further discussion? Now we'll call for the vote, Christie.
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, if you guys have any other questions as we're going through this, feel free to reach out. I'll answer what I can.
Thanks, Wade.
Thank you, Wade.
Thanks. Back to the first things, drainage permits. One of the ones I have for you is for Lyle Shepherd. It's on County 1 in the right of way. He just wants to clean up the ditch to make it flow for the areas. Was asked I get some measurements for him out there, but they haven't had time to go and do that, so we can make sure this is done right. He doesn't want to have to do it twice, so, but he's got a contractor that was on standby, ready to go, and I told him, don't pull it yet until you have a permit, so Lyle is waiting on this one. But it's just on the south side of County Road 1, just doing some cleanup out the full school.
You wanna do these separately?
You do separate or do them all at
Let's
once?
do them all at once, we can get much the same.
The next one is for a drainage permit is Gary Doxage, County Road 2 on the right of way. I don't have any issues with that one. There's a Stephen Schuster drain tile for County Road 4 that is part of a drain tile project that's just gonna be in the ditch and right of way going to an existing culvert. I don't have any problem with that drainage permit. And Lee Taves, we put in one for Larry Taves Farms on County 12. It'll be on the opposite side of what K-Bros did for their permitted drain project this year, where they called through on it and on 12. So now the west side's clean. This is just gonna remove the small hump that's in the ditch on County Road 12, so that there's no restrictions, and hopefully that makes everything better for everyone next spring. So those are the drainage permits I have for you today.
So did the cave ones Like water.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Alvin had water board approval this morning.
Oh, okay.
These were sent to us.
Did you get the?
Phase one is in the,
Yeah.
kind of,
I'll make a motion.
No, I'm not sure, what you talking about, Cave Rose, what, do we have one for them? Oh, okay.
it's a continuation of what they did do earlier this year.
I'll make a motion, we approve the drain improvements.
Second,
Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. On Steven Schuster's, it says install drain tile pump.
Yeah.
That's not going in our easement
Not
area.
right away.
Okay, I just want to make sure about that.
No, they'll be outside of our right away.
Okay.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Now we'll call for the motion to approve 4 drainage permits. I'll entertain a motion.
I did, I made a motion.
and I seconded,
Is that Aaron here?
I'm not the only one.
all in favor, say all in favor.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Call for a vote. Christie?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes,
Myself, yes, motion carried. All right, now we've got utility.
Utility permits, there is a slug of them. Fuller is looking at doing a lot of work out by Warsaw, Oakwood, County 15, County 19. So 4, and so they have a bunch of them in there. I don't have any issues with any of the utility permits that they're looking to put in. Nodak Electric has some on County 4 that there's to fix some power line issues that they have for people. It doesn't seem like any issues from mine as well. The only one that I do have concerns with is the utility permit from Steven Schuster. I don't have a problem with them having a tile line that goes underneath our County Road 4, south of Warsaw. But I do have is a problem with them doing an open trench to dig it in for it. The drain tile companies, from what I've seen and experienced in the past, do not backfill very well and get the compactions. If they're going to put that line in, I would much rather tell them they can have it, but they have to bore it.
I agree. Is that gonna be on the permit then? That they have to
I'll
bore
put
it?
it on their approval that they have to bore it, and we'll write it in there that the line has to be bored,
I totally agree.
not trench.
And Holders is mostly optic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all fiber optics and thousands and borings.
They can do it good. Make sure they put it on the right side of the road though.
I'll talk to Stacy.
I'd make a motion to approve the utility permits as presented.
second,
Any further discussion? Any further discussion, and you will put that boring.
I will put that stipulation on it, yes.
I got a little issue with that.
Yep.
The cost associated with doing a bore through the road is not something that's budgeted in the system. So I don't know what the apprehension is for open excavation, but we've done many of them. And I don't see it, as long as Stephen maintains the section of road after the installation is done, there should be no problem with doing an open excavation through there.
Excuse me, can we get your name for the record?
John Kippen with Landmark Companies.
With who?
Landmark Companies,
Tile.
tile company.
I'll talk from, I've been here longer than most of you, and I'll talk from experience. We let people dig through our roads so they fall or anything else. And they always say they're gonna maintain them, and about 2 years down the road, the counties have to go out there and fix them. And that's the only reason I'm against somebody digging through our roads. And they always say, we'll maintain them, but guess what? And you're probably gonna be not a benefactor of that, but I'm against them digging into our roads, because past experiences, nobody cares about it 3 years down the road. And then when you get this and stuff where they dug in, they don't wanna come with gravel, or if we've had it on pavement, they're gonna keep it, so that's, I'm not in favor of it.
Mr. Chairman. So do they, if it goes through a county road, do they usually trench it?
Lately, we've been having boring.
But then it's up to the,
Well, boring doesn't affect it as much.
no, but doesn't it fall on us right away to maintain that road then after they're done? And I'm just trying to get at, Or does the farmer kind of take care of that?
Some of
as
these
it-
are on county roads too, gravel.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So in a way, we're sort of protecting the townships
Right,
too.
right.
It's just past experience that it happens. Townships can't affix to go back and everything else.
And it just depends on the farmer what they wanna do.
Well,
And,
that's-
and really, they don't have to do anything once it's done, right?
Well, they always say they're gonna maintain it.
I know.
Yeah. And then it falls back and, you know, the good guy will maintain it and the other one will just let it go. And these poor townships don't have a lot of money to go back and do all this either. So that's the only reason I'm against it, it's past experience.
Well, we don't want to sag in the pipe, like you're referring to is going to happen just because we open excavated. In my experience, the very best installation technique for coming through a county road with a large diameter pipe is to plow it in and then compact the backfill on top of it. Because when you cut that trench 4 feet underneath open soil, you're shaping the bottom of the plow. You're creating the steady bottom that it's gonna take to maintain that, just like a bore does. That's the technique that's gonna be used in this situation.
What, Mr. Chairman, would this be the first time that we say that it has to be bored instead of trenched? And I'm just asking, I'm not picking sides, I'm just wondering.
Most of the time we try boring when we can.
Since I've come in, this is the first one that's come in that said that they're gonna open trench across the county road. Everything else has been bored.
Oh, I understand.
But
Mr.
it is a
Chairman,
gravel county road.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, what, and the cost difference, approximately boring versus open trenching, do you know?
About $30,000 to $50,000.
To bore versus,
Yeah.
I guess from that standpoint of it, I can't talk too much about it, but if you're planning on doing this far ahead of time, waiting till now to get the utility permit and not talking to us about the process that you're gonna go into, I can't help you on the cost portion. That's not on up to the county to make up for it. It's not on us, so. Because they're planning on that end, that needs to happen.
So would this, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, would this cost then go to the person who's tiling it?
Yes.
If you do it late fall, then you always got that springtime. Whatever.
Well, I'm just saying,
So if the customer was delayed the installation till spring, can we open excavated then?
As long as all the compactions are met and it's kept up through the entire year, because we're gonna have to deal with this thing all winter long for snow removal, plows and everything else.
But he said spring.
Well, and for spring, they're gonna have to maintain the packing on it all year, because every time it gets settled, they're gonna have to do it.
yeah, someone will have to.
And they're gonna have to make sure that when they're in there, they're doing install lifts or compactions at 6 inches. Not 1.5 feet, not a foot, 6-inch lifts, 6-inch compactions. So that they is stable.
And that was my point. We've done this before where somebody didn't do it and then we wind up doing it. Or in this case, it'll be probably the township.
Well, this is the county, just get on the county.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I don't know that we can even vote on this without letting the Stephen, the landowner, discuss this, because we're making that decision for him, and that's, we're costing, well, whatever, 30 to 50 or whatever. I don't feel like I can vote on this.
and I almost wonder, if we let them open trench and there's things that have to be done, is that something we consider? And then with it intent, the landowner would get that bill. If there's more work that has to be done on the county side, is there something then that it would fall back on them if there were issues, instead of just assuming there will be and going to bore?
We're gonna set precedents.
Exactly. And then a different company, maybe these guys are good and the other company that comes in says they'll do it and then all of a sudden, no.
But then that's when I feel like Stephen should be involved with this before we.
Yep.
Would that be,
I agree.
If he wants to.
and I agree with you, Ernie, I just,
We've got enough expenses without creating more.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, my concern would be if we allow open trenching and then we say, but Mr. Farmer, you have to care for it and you have to do everything to 6 inches, not a foot, not a foot and a half. doesn't the liability still fall onto us, onto the county?
Yes,
If the farmer does
Yep.
not
yeah.
They don't
take
do it.
care of it? And how does that farmer, how do we trust that he's going to do it to our standards? You know, we almost have to be out there checking. So,
If something happens, who are they pointing the finger at?
Yep, but that's why I think he needs to be involved in this. Maybe he'll have a different decision on what he's gonna do.
What do you want to do with them?
well, we did approve it to bore, right? So can he appeal? Is
We
there?
didn't vote on it.
No.
We haven't voted on it yet.
I mean, we made the motion,
Yeah.
excuse me, we made the
We
motion.
made a motion that he could go ahead and we approve it as is, as a board.
So we can approve that, if he wants to fight it, he can come back, right? And then we'd have the
Like
discussion.
more discussion though, can I retract my second? Is that possible? Because I seconded, so I don't,
Yes,
Well, I don't think, I guess, yeah, totally up to you guys. I just don't think our approval is a bad approval, because what if he says, oh yeah, I do want to bore
Right.
it? That I'm okay with that. I don't want to fight it.
If you're a little leery, vote on the motion as it is and deny it. You know, vote no, and then just leave it in there that Stephen can come back and talk to us on the thing. So let's just vote it down, and then we'll just have him come back.
because the motion was they head to board and,
Right.
you know, so it's not
So we
really
can,
giving him a chance.
So he probably wants to get this done this fall, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
well, they all do, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I think we should approve it for a bore if he wants to. Take that expense, that's up to him. If
Now,
not,
that way, yeah, then he can, if he don't like that, he can come back and
right.
change his permit if he wants to. Yeah, either or.
that's fine.
How about motion reading?
The board.
The more?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Any further discussion? So we'll approve the vote, allowing the permit that he bore only. Chrissy,
yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Who's gonna talk to him?
You don't
Oh,
want.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jason.
They're doing the work, yeah.
I mean, I'll be talking to Stephen about it too.
Yeah.
So I will wait to sign this one until you update.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or if you sign it and then if Stephen has a problem, I can just hold it to. Go with that one, whichever way you want to
And
go.
at least you can get going on with the city, can
Yeah, they can get finalized to see what the actual total cost and decide if he wants to go that way or not.
Very good. All right,
The next item I have is the snow removal bid approval. We only received one bid from Custom 365 for doing snow removals for here at the county and the grounds. Is their time, the equipment that they're gonna be using, their cost per hours. And with this, we put stipulations in there that they must be giving us something on a monthly basis. So we can try and keep our budget intact this year, so
That's in here?
that
A
is,
monthly basis?
yeah, and some,
Do we know what our former ones charged?
We already give her
I can't remember what the hours was.
Could we not get any other bids?
Nobody else bid anything, just the only one,
And this is by the hour?
just by the hour.
Have we ever contracted things out?
Well,
I'm just asking because somebody asked me, why doesn't the county ever contract things out? And then,
The snow removal period, this place has been contracted out since
right.
I started before as far as.
Well-
So, and mowing is contracted out.
Oh, it is.
And, yeah, all the mowing is contracted out right now. And that actually was up for a 3-year bid, and that's up, so the spring, that'll have to be rebid.
Yeah, but we sort of had a contract with him, but he never really sent us a bill.
well, yeah, that was a whole different story, so it kind of got, you know, he gave us a good contract, but then never billed us, and then nobody could compete with that contract, and so that was the question that I had gotten from someone.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question in regards to, it says on here bid per hour for each piece of equipment, also lists labor rate for shoveling. And I don't see that on here as far as like, we're seeing responsible court, I'm just, you know, the amount that they're doing.
Right.
Door entrances must be clean of snow. This specific company, I'm not saying every one of them, but I don't see people out shoveling. I see in tractors and, you know, equipment wise, they're driving That's my concern for entrances, to be sure that they are getting out and shoveling those.
I can tell you the last company didn't shovel either. So,
Okay.
So we had,
Where was that, was it an email, wasn't it? Or was it in the pack, and I remember looking.
It's under Jason's documents.
yeah,
I mean,
supporting
I don't even
documents.
have.
it would have been way
Is it in your,
October 12th it was
it's
sent.
page 18 in there, in that
Okay.
area.
And I gotta get back to the county one. I was in the county one, and then I go to, is it? I remember Keene's, I don't know if that's.
Custom 365.
Where do you see the shoveling? I thought I
It's
saw.
right above, the-
Shoveling was in there, but it never was
This
a
one,
price.
I thought so too, but
scroll up, so it's, they have, it's under or the sentence above equipment, so it's bid per hour. for
So do you,
okay,
And also list labor rate for shoveling.
okay.
Amy, are you going into the agenda and then a package?
Nope, it's supporting, Jason's supporting
I don't
docs,
have it
the
in
PDF.
Are you in,
I'm in the county
It's an
time sharing when
attachment.
you go to the commissions and stuff.
yeah, the linked or synced? Are you in synced?
I don't have anything.
NRG, the same
It
one we
came
look
from me.
at.
It came from
It came from
Christine. Well, that,
Oh,
It was with
mine isn't
Jason on
synced. Mine isn't synced on page 20.
I don't have it there either.
What page are you on?
October 7th.
this is page 18.
And then go to Jason.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, yeah, it's just so much of that other stuff.
Yep. I remember looking at it last night and going, where did it go?
Yeah.
There it is.
Did you find it, Penny? October 12th, it would have come from Christie Cordell in your email if you're in there.
Do you do the NRG one?
No.
But it's probably in there then in documents.
Yeah, it is, then you just gotta.
No.
I saw it go to.
Oh,
When was it, October what?
Do you want to look? I haven't printed this, yes. I haven't printed.
I could share the screen.
Well, that-
She's got it written.
Oh. Is this a company you've been with a long time?
Yeah,
Yeah, this would
Jason.
be Alan Anderson, they've been snow removal and for as long as I can remember.
yeah, I know. I just said I.
So the only trouble we've had with them is billing. Is the rest of the service
different.
good or?
No, this is a different company.
Oh, this is a different
This is a
company?
different firm.
Yeah. This company I knew.
This is a different one than.
Who's the one that had trouble with billing?
TK Farms.
TK. Who's that?
Thomas
Thomas.
Anderson.
brother.
Oh, I thought it was an Anderson. That's why I'm.
Their brothers.
Two different.
So he didn't put in a bid.
No,
Personally, I don't like just looking at one bid, but I know it's difficult if nobody else will bid.
nobody else bid it, and unfortunately from where we're sitting and where we live, who knows when the first time we'll need the services.
That's the trouble. Every time we do something for the county, we're getting less and less bids.
And this was run in the newspaper, right?
Yes,
So,
that was right in the paper for 3 weeks, I believe.
I don't, if I remember right, and I was trying to look at it, I don't think the hourly rate on this is too outlandish compared to what we were paying.
No, it's not.
No,
No. When you look at it, you try to run a tractor or scraper for,
it's pretty similar.
This is it, so.
we couldn't own one for that.
Don't want to.
Nope, that's exactly right.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for snow removal for custom 365.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second
Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
So we'll just be shoveling our own sidewalks then, since they didn't
Well-
put a bid rate on here,
I'll
or?
make sure I talk with them, but we didn't get that part straightened out on it, so.
When it says the contractor is responsible,
Yeah.
Door entrances.
yeah, however they do it is.
Yeah, but they have no bid rate on here, so they could charge us however much they wanted if we don't get that on here. I mean, we should know how much we're going to pay them to shovel the doorways, what our agreed upon rate is.
Talk to them and get it on paper.
further discussion? I'll call for the vote, Karen,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried.
And the last one,
You want both of them?
Sure.
this one, is for our bridge inspections for this last month. It's for $1,957.77 for 5 bridges. This is the round that end up closing the 2 bridges in Golden Township.
I look at the total here and I'm sure and it ain't lucky, but I'm going, geez, this company must make money.
Yeah.
90 grand.
Huh?
90 grand.
It's ridiculous.
That's our portion.
Yeah.
Look how many cones they use.
Oh, that's what I said.
This company is in charge of Cattle Deer, Pembina, Walsh County, Grand Forks, and I think Ramsey.
Pretty lucrative council.
I certainly hope that the state is taking to heed all our concerns. I mean, we met with them down at the convention again and voiced our concerns on these
Our concern's been voiced on them
multiple times.
So,
They seem like they have concerns as well,
Yeah, it's
Well,
kind of
even
what I
that-
picked up on.
Even the county association of their concerns.
right?
We did it on that meeting.
Well, do we have a motion to pay the bridge inspection?
So moved.
I'm not.
You can say that one.
There a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. Chrissy,
Yes.
Bernie,
No.
Karen,
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. We just don't have a choice.
I know we don't. We have to pay our bills.
But I hear you.
I'd like to say no, but.
I can pay it in protest. That's what I'm doing. I just think it's just, what we're doing is that.
Yeah, I know.
that's all I had for you. Do you have anything for me?
How long is the Pawnee Dam closes the 1st of November?
Yes. Yeah, the bridge or the boat ramp dock is out. The guys removed that last week before we started to remove the dock, so that's out of the way. There's some other grounds work out there, pulling some pilings and doing some backfill, so that stuff isn't there to be mowed around anymore. And then they're out, so, they still have some more mowing to do when I was out there that hadn't been done. So told me we need to get it mowed up, so it's cleaned up one more time for the year. Hopefully it was only gonna be the one more time. Haven't been back out there. My plan was to get out there this week yet. See how, where we're at and how things are getting over shut down.
The grass is more lush now than it was all summer. I just mowed yesterday. It's just crazy how it's
Yeah.
going.
Well, it's cool. Enough moisture.
And I just
Yeah.
mowed again too, and hopefully it's the last time I have to mow. I like it for the pastures,
Yeah.
but the downside is the pastures don't do food where everything in the yard.
Look at our total labor costs for that dam for the year. We're gonna have to do something different next year, cause
Yeah, we're coming up, this year I'm gonna be working on a whole new system for how they report their time sheets, their hours, where they do and what they're doing. It'll
What are
be,
you doing an hour?
she is listed, I don't know what, I can't remember what Susan is, everyone else was 15.50 an hour was what their rates were, so. But we're gonna have a more lockdown procedure as to how it's tracked, what's being tracked with a different timesheet. Instead of them using the timesheet that we use for the county, they're gonna have one that's made for the park with what they do, with areas and call outs, and it's specific as to what is being done, where it's being done, and tracked down. So
Good job.
it'll be a whole new game next spring.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
I got the water board deal, but first, I gotta pat him on the back. Which township was it?
Cleveland,
to the program, I think it was through the state, wasn't it?
No, Cleveland Township, with Cleveland Township, what we have, it's been in the works for over a year now. And they just got it installed last week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks
They're
ago.
talking those.
We're calling it, we jokingly between True North Steel and I, we call it the Cleveland Triple. There's 3 brand new product line culverts that are 60 feet long, 66 or 60 inches in diameter, that we got them for free for a testing site. So they can see how it handles in the soils and the different things. So True North gave us the culverts for free. I paid for the installation for $4,500 to get, or the transportation to get them hauled up here. And then only had to pay for the installation portion. So between these culverts and the trucking is probably, I would hate, don't like to say it, but it's probably about $40,000 for culverts minimum that we got donated to them for free.
Where did it go?
Mile south of Brigham Nels, I can't remember the county or the township road down there. It's a mile south of County 19, coming off of,
Highway 32.
Highway 32.
Between Highway 32 and County 14.
Yeah.
Magic Dam Highway, I always call it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I commend for doing and getting in some of these to be a subject test with the amount of bridges and stuff we have, just keep us up there, because I mean, any way that we can be a model where, yeah, you wanna try something and get a cut rate,
Well, he told me last week, and I said, bring it up with the commission, let them know. I said, this is great for the townships, we can keep, and for the county. We can keep getting free stuff and doing it. And anybody who wants to try a new product, have them call us.
Yeah.
We're willing, and there's another company that I'm going to reach out to about trying to do something set up for next year for the, they're kind of in the forefront. They're in North Dakota for asphalt maintenance and road construction and different things. And I'm gonna try and meet with him. I'm hoping he's gonna be in Sioux Falls this next week. We're gonna meet with him in person. If not, he and I are gonna schedule a meeting to work with each other and see about what they have for a new analysis program for asphalt. And see if we can be a test site and be big for him on that as well. We're testing out different asphalt. Underneath the number 9 last year, we tested out a couple different fabrics to see which are gonna work best for us and perform for us the way we want them to. So we're kind of in the same areas testing different things to see what we can do, so we can try and expand the lifetime, expand these different things. I met with True North Steel, the bridge crew, last week at Association of Counties. Went with them probably for an hour and a half, talking with them. They have a component where they can bring in pre-built bridges, where you can come in, bring it by their bridge, put it down on a component, and if your abutment's good, take off your deck, put this new one down, you're open and you're done. The one time you can really use it if your abutments are good. The other stipulation with it is they don't have guidelines that are set for their guardrails that have to meet with our CMCs. So a lot of our county roads, we can't even use them because they won't meet the guardrail safety protocols that we have to have from the DOT. And I told them basically we'd be much more willing to use them and look at them and give them more of a look if the company would go and pay for that study. I know it's a lot of money for them to go, but would give us another option that we can use for putting in some of our bridges. Some are still gonna have to be concrete just because of the spans and the sizes. But there's many different types of variables that we can have, whether there's the aluminum box culverts that we've installed, the concrete box culverts, just going to a standard culvert, concrete bridge, or these prefab bridges. We need as many different options as we can to move forward. And this last year, with those 2 aluminum box culverts, if we wouldn't have had that option there to go with the aluminum box culvert, we wouldn't have gotten our box culverts. And we've been dealing with those 3-ton bridges all winter, if we've been able to keep them open as a 3-ton bridge. The one by Voss, they've been threatening to close that one for us for 2 years. So we've banded it along. We got lucky. There's a lot of people that aren't happy about when we come in and do these, well, I have to go around. Well, all I can say to them is be thankful that these were on a plan that we were doing and getting ready for, because there's the Hagen Bridge that goes to the pits that has now been closed for 2 years. That, because we closed it after the 2022 floods because of the concerns of it. It's been barricaded off and it has been used for 2 years. It's on our process to get it replaced, but we're still 2 years out. So that bridge is gonna be 4 years where everyone's gonna have to go around it before we can get to it. So there's the other aspect to it. And this year we've replaced, just off the top of my head, so think about it too hard, is 5 bridges that are no longer bridges, that are all culverts. A couple of them are associated with the water board. We work together on it, and we got others like that we're working on. Between the water board and I, we're talking about what we're going to do in the future and how we're going to keep each other in the loop on our different things and go from there, so. We're building.
Leads up to you.
You guys are gone
Can
last week.
Can I just interrupt Rob for 1 minute? So Stephen would like to come in and talk to us about this permit, if possible.
When?
He can be here in 15 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, I'll tell him.
Okay, I was at the water board meeting last week and we talked about various things and everything, and our bill came up again. And what they,
Bill.
well, the bills on the original one where it was 237,000, and then they came in with another higher one. I think the total was just shy of 600.
This is for culverts and then
Drain
drain.
87, wasn't it? Most of it? Okay. So we got talking about it, and I guess I would like to get 7, but we were talking about it, and what they want to do is meet with me, and I mentioned Danny being his chairman, and Kelly, and then we meet with them, 2 of their water board members, and Danny Austin. And we had a good conversation. I think you look at Century Code and read it. I know there's different ideas or how. I look at it and I look back, and I think of all the years I've been here, and it's we never signed them or anything. It's called, it looks sort of like a pre-construction agreement. I don't know if you want to call it that, I will. I think of the county when we had our agreement on 1.9 million on the bridges, and it comes in at 3.1. They said the same thing. These are agreements and they don't know, and as the bills come in and everything, it increases. And I said, yeah, I get it. And I said, this one just sort of caught us off guard because it wasn't the way we were doing things in the past. But in the same thing, I sat there and I thought about it, and I said, okay, since I've been here, I know there's a lot of projects that were probably, let's say, pre-construction bids that, I'll just use a number, $900,000. When the water board and everything was done and the bill was for 750,000, they didn't charge us for the 9, they brought it back down to this. And that's my example of these agreements. So with the new, there's also a new Century Code, and I asked Danny with it, because I want to get this all straight out front of where we're going, what we're doing. And I think the relationship with Jason and the water board and me and everything's got a lot better, and they're willing to work with us, and that's why they want to meet. I don't think they're gonna demand the whole stuff, the whole whatever, 280 or 290, I don't remember the numbers. But I'd like to meet them somewhere in between or wherever, and that's what this discussion will be like. But you gotta remember, even though that stuff was put in, it's still good for the county. I mean, it went in our infrastructure, it went in the bridges and everything else, so going forward, we will have to be paying these. And if I look at Old Century Code and New Century Code, and I respect Danny on the water board, he's their lawyer and everything else, and I'd have to talk too long to do it, explaining what the difference is, and there's not gonna be a lot, but it's gonna be clearer what the maintenance is and everything else. So if you guys agree, I already brought it up, the meeting on the 24th, if they can get Kelly and Dan together, and then you and I maybe meet after that meeting next week and get this thing going. Because I'd like to get it settled, it's just taking, and I still think we are liable for part of that. Not just me, but with the clearance and everything else, with his opinion and Kelly's and stuff, maybe we can settle this already.
And hang it out there for what?
Well, and I don't think it's gonna go away. I can see their point on it and everything else, and you know, it is what it is, and some of the stuff they explained to me last meeting, I was sort of blindsided too, not really recognizing or understanding all the permits and how they came about. And they called it pre-construction, and then right away my head clicked and I thought of our bridges when they went from 1.9 to 3.1. Why do we have to pay the difference? Well, it's sort of the same thing here. They did this, and yeah, they afterwards more culverts come in or whatever. It is what it is.
Mr. Chairman, Not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I thought back when we didn't pay it, part of it was because we didn't agree and we didn't approve some of the things they were doing with different.
When you say we, it was our highway department, it wasn't us commissioners, we saw.
No, it was the highway department didn't agree with it and it was done anyways, and I thought that's why,
Yeah,
part of the reason we weren't paying, because we have an open checkbook here, right? It's like, hey, guys, you guys go do what you want, and yep, we'll write out the check, and didn't we kind of say, no, we're not going to do that?
Well, it was, but
Yeah.
in a way,
That makes me nervous to just have an open checkbook and say, yeah, we just gotta pay.
we don't have much say when it comes to the water board and the right drainage, and it's all in drainage.
No, that's trouble.
That's the trouble. So if you go by century code and they can do this,
Century codes are a 60-40 split.
right, and that's been there for a long time, and that's what I'm saying, and that's sort of what this thing is.
So we have 3 water board members that have all that power that can determine that, and we just have to,
Whether we like,
just have to pay.
whether we.
That makes me very nervous.
It does me too. I know.
Mr. Chairman, it makes me nervous, but we appoint them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I wouldn't want that job, and I understand where you're coming from. I think that's why we wanted more communication
Yep.
between all of us, between Jason and them, that you can't just go in there because now it's ours, it's our baby after you're done. At least let us know, let Jason know what's happening and
the water
communicate.
board's been up here numerous times on
Yeah.
this subject. and
Right,
it's Getting more with it.
and,
yeah, but I mean, for them to communicate with
Yeah,
these projects on what's going on, and there's always personality conflicts, and so.
that was a lot of it.
That's
It was,
not
and it
cost the
shouldn't-
taxpayers
And it
money.
shouldn't have, it
It
shouldn't
should
have.
not cost the taxpayers
Because
money.
I feel that
Who's
our
to
highway
say,
department was doing a good job.
who's to say the highway department was right when they looked at their I never saw the schematics or anything else, like, I looked at the water board and they got engineering. I mean, they just didn't blow past engineering when these were replaced, so there's a lot of people involved.
Oh, I know.
involved here. And
I know.
it gets, look at, I still think of 15, that should have been a drain instead of us controlling the water in the ditch, that's a water issue.
Yeah,
It's our right way, but it's a water issue.
it is, yeah.
And I think we overstepped our bounds there, and that's probably some of the friction and everything, but when it comes to water, that's why we got a water board.
but they're thinking about pursuing this legally too, aren't they?
They don't want it.
Well,
They
that's,
point blank said there's no need, we want them to go, and that's why I brought it up. I said, let's sit down and talk this over. I said, I don't wanna go there. It's, nobody's gonna win.
Yeah.
And then you get muddy the waters, and right now, with Jason and them, I think there's a good relation. They're open to us. I try to go to as many meetings I can, so I understand what they're doing. And face it, we didn't have somebody doing that before. If you go to those meetings, you learn a lot, and like I said, my eyes got opened up since all this happened. Just, so with your blessing, I guess I'd like to something up with Denny and have Kelly and their lawyers, and let's get this settled. That's all it is.
So you guys will be making the decision?
No, it'll come back to
It
you.
would come back to the commission, it'd just be a recommendation.
Can Kelly come back?
What do you mean?
Well, I think Kelly should be at the commission meeting.
Yeah, well, she's gonna be there, she can, yeah.
you know, I just wanna say one thing about Kelly coming here, she will come anytime, but she's gotta know ahead of time, because she can't
Right, with
leave
cases, yeah.
court. So I just wanna plug that for her.
But there's, like, and I'm not picking on anybody when I say that, when I listen to Danny talking about water and her, there's a big gap in there.
Well,
And
because
she's not a water lawyer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting at. I says, that I just see a lot of differences and I understand them, and I've been to a lot of water boards, even out Devil's Lake and all that. It's just a different way of looking at it. And you realize, and it opens up, I guess, yeah, maybe we're looking at it wrong. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I just want to talk it over and get it settled somehow.
Yeah, we're not, we'll bring it all back to the commission and I'll make sure Kelly comes in and explain.
And I already told the water board there, I said, we are not gonna make a decision at this meeting. I said, you present it, and if we can meet somewhere and where, I said, we've got to have the okay from the rest of the commission.
And the water board met this morning actually spoke about going forward, and as we move forward, maybe it's beneficial for both the water board, the commissioners, and the highway department to have a written MOU saying, spelling out to everybody, so when the public comes and asks, everybody has it, and they say, this is what is covered, this is how it's done, because You know, it's taxpayer money, whether it's in the water board portion or it's from our portion, it's taxpayer money. We're in the same pool. They need to know that we're working together and this is how it's set.
But if the trouble is if the water board changes or the commission changes and nothing's in writing, you don't have anything. And I said, I don't like that. I said, I want, and move it forward, because I asked Danny point blank, I said, you're great at water. I said, okay, on these drains, when you talk 60-40, there's maintenance in there. And I said, what's maintenance? And he had the newer one in there and I'm hoping to get it. We are responsible for the maintenance ridge top. Their maintenance is down drain and underneath. And I've always said, well, we brought it up, why don't they pay for gravel? There's your answer. We're on the top, they're on the bottom. And that's sort of what it is, highway and drain. Great explanation he gave to me. And I'm going, well, now that explains it, but I want that in writing when we move forward.
Right. But all of that is in Century Code some places, just like soils committee or soil conservation. We're on those boards as representative only. I mean, you don't have any control.
Right.
And the trouble is Century Code doesn't stipulate in maintenance. Well, what's maintenance? It doesn't say top or bottom. And that's what I said, that when the 60-40 agreement that you just said we're gonna do, I want that in there. So when Ernie Bart is gone and Danny and Christie, the next commissioners have it in writing.
Yeah.
This is what's covered in the Century Code. Here's your responsibility, here's yours. There's none of that. It just says maintenance or whatever. And it's so vague if you look at it. And I just,
And that's what Nelson County did to us on those pumps.
yeah. And then we can't fight it.
We can't fight it. There's no-
Yeah, that's the power. I used to say that's the power of your water board.
I know.
Well, and even the water board, and the things I've sat in, and they feel the punch underneath tile,
The what?
the tile. There's a lot of stuff with tile, they really don't get a whole lot of say in for green tile.
There, ever since that lobby day up there and they changed all that, the tiles are going in before we approve them, almost. Horrible. Now, there's gonna be some change, Danny said, and I told him, I said, I want copies of that new Century Code. So there's different wordings or maybe a handcuff or something, but.
Let's go on to the 911. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. He'll be up here. Can I just clarify one thing? I know that Stephen wants to get this done. We have 3 weeks before our next meeting, and a lot could happen with weather in the next 3 weeks if he wants to. So when he texted me, I thought he should be.
Was he watching online or?
I'm sure John called.
I get his point, but yeah, we could save more money, but they can afford tiling and everything else. I'm not gonna open a can of worms just because somebody wants to go and dig up our road.
Well, we're gonna set this.
Well,
It sounds like.
But we're also changing what we have done in
Many
the
have done
past
this.
too. So I just want to give him a chance.
Well, it's maybe a township road.
It's number 4, isn't it?
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Is it on road?
Yeah, this is on our road.
Yeah, so.
It's a mile south of Warsaw. So
Mhm.
the spot that they're looking at with this on that map is state talking about right next to the farmyard right here. They're going to dig across our road and across Eric Stanislawski's land into the,
So has anybody dug across the road since you've been here? I don't remember anybody going across.
nobody's done one since I've been here.
Seeing that might be years back or something, but, and I still did this years back when they don't keep the road maintained and then it costs us money.
That's that old wet swampy area down there, isn't it? Or is it?
Well, on the south side of the road, not on
It's
the
not so
north.
far.
And that's another.
It's not farm. Yeah, here, okay.
All right. 911. Joint powers.
So the NDACO would like to come an agreement here with the county on their 911. They want to be able to collect and distribute the 911 fees. We were at the convention and there were probably, I don't know, 15 counties maybe that had not signed yet. They're reaching out to all of them. I missed this, so that's why I did not bring it to you guys yet. So I'm just curious if you guys, I know I sent all the documentation. It's been talked about a few times in meetings, so just wondering if I can have a motion for Denny to sign and go into this agreement with them.
Do you have any input on this?
So that I know,
I mean, I guess they didn't go through me to do this, so they just went straight to the auditors, which we do all of the work for this, and the other. The part of it was, the selling point was to save the auditor's time, and in our case, the auditor doesn't do any of the work we do in our office, but that's beside the point. I don't know that I have any issue with it, you know, it just takes, instead of all of these, 40, 50 entities, whatever we get 911 checks from, sending them to us, we deposit. Then we send so much back to the association of counties and so much to the state for the siren. They're gonna collect it all, keep what goes to those entities and send us the difference. So I don't know if, I'm on several committees where we've discussed this, I don't know that every county's gonna sign it, and the association of counties, I'm sure, if there's 10 counties that don't sign it, they don't know if they're gonna do it or not, so it's not necessarily, you signing it isn't necessarily a done deal. I mean, they want to have the largest majority of the counties sign it before they move forward with it.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, I don't, my speculation is with some of the larger counties, like, say Cass County. So all that money comes and goes in our account, it earns interest.
Oh, yeah.
It earns interest until we send it to them.
It's like game of.
Money deal.
And like in our case, like they talk about remitting it monthly, well, we usually remit it like quarterly or, so we don't, cause we don't get that much dollars compared to some of these other places, so that, so as long as we're holding it, we're earning the interest on it versus when it's in their account, they're earning interest on it until they send it to us.
So
I don't know if that, and some of it's just having that control, not giving it all to, this isn't technically the state, but I mean, it's.
So do they distribute that interest to them, or do they get to keep?
Well, I think that the theory would be is whatever, whatever interest they're earning would be part of the, instead of like billing us for collecting it and distributing it, that would all be absorbed in that.
Filing fee.
So we wouldn't. And then part of it is the hope is that like most of us all pay, like every time they send us something, they can hold up to 5% of it. Some entities hold that, some don't, so they're hoping to negotiate with these larger companies to hold a smaller percentage back. They don't have to send it out to 53 jurisdictions or, they're only sending it to one, so they're hoping that they can get it changed so that they're not. And again, 5% of what some of them sent us is minor, but statewide it ends up being a fair amount of dollars, so.
Just about a cleaner period, wouldn't it?
I don't even know. This is all new since I got here, so.
And it is a lot of, it's, we get multiple checks from, and we don't even know if we get all the right checks, because we get checks from companies I never even heard of before. There are people that sell phone service that I don't even know what kind of a company they are, but they remit, but it might be $5 a month, it isn't like, they have like 2 people have account, but it doesn't know, but it would, it certainly would relieve some of the process of us keeping track of all of that and sending it out, so I'm not opposed to it at all, so.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman, I think just there's enough work and we hear about that this would relieve some work in emergency management. I make a motion that we sign the joint powers agreement.
I'll second it.
What? Karen?
Well, we both said it at the same time, so Chris can.
Am I gonna have to pick and choose?
I'll third it.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that the one meeting I attended on, or maybe it was our caucus.
It was a caucus.
But they talked about how, like you said, there's many different home companies that we're not even aware of. They feel throughout the state that there's a lot of places that we're probably missing collecting from. They just feel this is going to be more streamlined and they'll be able to collect from every company. And then they said some are collecting the wrong amounts or they're sending the wrong amounts. So they just felt it was a more streamlined way of doing that. And I agree, workload wise, why not? Yeah, we're gonna miss out on some interest.
And in our case, it is a good amount, right now, interest rates are a little higher, but it isn't.
Right.
Normally it doesn't. And 901 doesn't miss out on that, it goes, that goes right. We don't have it, like the 901 account doesn't see the interest on that account, it goes into the general fund or wherever your interest goes, so.
Any further discussion? Further discussion, we'll call for the vote, Karen?
Yep.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Karen? Yep. Myself, yes. Motion carried. I take it you're Steven Schuster? Yes. Take a seat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Been
Welcome
cold
to the
for a
committee.
while.
Glad you came in.
Steven.
Good morning.
Yeah. we're making some decisions here that we just as soon have your input on.
Yes, I appreciate that.
So I guess the question is, we want to bore just for maintenance on top of the road when it's done. And you want to open trench, which ends up being a year from now when it settles in again. That's the problem we have with it. Is who maintains that spot. I mean, just like when you replace a culvert, a year later, you got a dip.
Yep.
And that's our concern. And from what I understand, we've always bored,
Since I've been here, everything's been bored.
but I can understand the costs involved.
It's 20% of the project.
Yeah. So I get that. We all do.
Okay, my understanding is there were a couple open cuts already on number 4 south of Warsaw, so years past. Is that true?
I don't know.
I guess I can't remember. Was
John
it
John
county?
said, John said that Giddises had done it twice between Warsaw and Ardoch on county number 4.
Was that before him?
Yes.
See, and I think that was some of the issues we have to go back and fix, and that's exactly why I'm against it, because everybody says they're gonna maintain it. And then they don't, and then I'll use county or township, then it comes back to us, liability, maintaining it and everything else, and that's why we've sort of, since Jason's been here, going to the boring. And that's the only reason. I'm just, if everybody would do what they said, I wouldn't have one problem with it. But you're gonna probably get penalized because 2 or 3 of them that did it, didn't take care of it. And it's probably not even there, there's other issues. I brought up one this morning that happened, and the same thing, we let them dig through the road, all of a sudden it's this. Next year we have to go out tar and on road and fix it and everything else. And once it happens, it seems like we have no foot to stand on. So who bears the expense but the county? So that's my take on it. And I get your point. I used to farm and I want to keep expenses down, but sometimes you get penalized because the other guy didn't do what he said.
So what can I do and agree to be allowed to do it in this case?
Where do you live from there?
I live 2 miles east of Minto.
East of Minto.
This is.
This is south of his dad's farm.
Yeah.
And the land that they farm.
I drive this road every day.
Yeah, okay, that's all.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I look at it from a sense too, it's unfortunate that someone has to bear the burden, going forward, but we do have to figure that part out, like what we're going to do, because then I understand that the county has liability, but is there a way we can put that in writing so that the liability would fall on for future? If something were to happen in that direct area or a certain amount around it,
I think we'd have to work with Kelly on that as far as can you shift liability? I don't know if we can shift liability.
or cost, like the cost of repair. So if we're having to go out and repair something that, I get if it's downstream, if you will, from where it was done, you can't prove it, but if it's right there, like Ernie says, why couldn't that be directed? And yes, maybe you have to work with Kelly, but so that we're not putting that amount of cost on them to do a project, 20%, these aren't like pennies that they're spending to do these.
I guess the problem I have, like I said before, is precedence. We're gonna, if we do it here, we're gonna have to do it every place else that somebody comes in with it. But yeah, I didn't realize it was that much of an expense to bore that.
The entire drain tile project on that particular field is $200,000. And to bore this one culvert through the road would be at least $40,000. Additional expense on the project. I'd much rather pay for a couple loads of gravel and a blade to go out there and send me the bill.
You know what, I hear you and I trust you, but it's the example.
I just bladed the road myself the other day. I got that with beats right there.
We all do too, but it's the guys that don't.
Yeah.
That's about it.
We just had a couple guys that misunderstood the permit and bored right underneath our road and they didn't even have the authority. Now we're debating if we should take that and just make them take it out.
They bored underneath the road?
And it wasn't on their permit. So now where do we go? We had everything happen in the county and everything else, and yet you look at a permit, you don't put that on there, and all of a sudden you dig under a road. Where does it stop? I don't know.
So right now the permit is approved for boring.
Boring.
My fear is, I understand the cost, Stephen, it's a lot of money. But Isn't there a way to, like, with the tiling, is it, if we allow boring this time, then everybody's gonna say, okay, we can, or not boring, but if we allow trenching, excuse me, then is it gonna be easier for the tiling companies to just come in and say, oh yeah, well, we can trench their county roads, we can trench the township roads, let's just trench or bore, whichever, let's not move. You know, can they find a different outlet? I mean, the way they lay it out, so they have to go across that county road.
In this case, this is the only way that we can gravity flow the project.
That's your only option.
In this case, yes.
Mr. Chairman, and I mean, I don't know how long ago it was with Good Assist, but if it's happened twice as a county, I feel like we're rewarding basically from the past. And we're not allowing it then going forward. I mean, if we're not gonna allow Stephen to do it, then we need to have something going forward that's not gonna allow anyone else. And it's not gonna be this, we're making a precedent now from him, and then it changes and someone else does it differently when they've done in the past. That's what I'm saying. It's not, it has been done. We do have precedent. It's been allowed.
Yes, but that, like I said, those are a couple ones that we have to go back and maintain and everything else since he came. And that's part of this new deal with this century code and everything else. I want to talk to the water board and see what their feelings are too. Because it's in our right of way and see everything else, so then everybody's on the same page. Personally, with the past experience and everybody not doing it, I would like to put in there, if you want to go under our road, it's bored. No digging.
But that would have to be a new policy.
Exactly,
right?
that's,
Yeah.
because like I said, it's new century code, everything's changing, it's getting tougher and tougher.
And a bit of a trench you're talking. John?
Well, in this particular instance, the best way to accomplish what we're trying to do is going to be to plow through the road. Basically, we're gonna take about 7-8 feet of the road off and below the road bed, and then we're gonna plow at the right depth through the road bed. Because that is what your plow shank creates the perfect bed for the pipe when you go through there with the least chance of any over excavation that's gonna cause a slough in the pipe. So it's better than boring, really. And then you put the road back and compact it as you put the road back. It's about an 8-hour process to do it correctly. So it's not like we're cutting corners by doing it. It's actually, it'd probably be quicker to do a bore, other than the time fusing the pipe, but.
So, Mr. Chairman, you're kind of saying that a bore wouldn't necessarily accomplish what you're trying to do to this field. I mean, if you bore through the road, it may not give you.
Well, a bore is gonna be, you're cutting a little bit wider than the pipe to go through, and then you're pulling back, bringing back, you're cementing the inside of it, and then pulling the product through, so. It's a good process too. But
It depends on your boring company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's good, there's bad.
yeah, it depends if they got the right size reamer for the job, if they want to cut corners by. But over and above, when we plow through the road bed with the plow shank, it's matched to the size of the pipe that we're going through the road bed. So, your margin of error is kind of closer.
So if this didn't change and you had to bore it, is there a possibility you couldn't even get a boring company to come in and do it this fall?
Well, we are our own boring.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we have subcontractors possibly available, but scheduling is an issue at this time of year. Everybody's busy. Most of our boring rigs are all in South Dakota and Iowa right now, so.
Well, and that's why I, agreed to have Stephen come up here when he texted me, because time is of the essence. It could be, our next meeting isn't even until 3 weeks, just because of the way the calendar plans this time, so just.
I did. I have questions for you, sir. Have you done any work in our county? Have you ever cut through any of our roads?
Twice on County Road 4, 1.5 miles from this particular one, and did one over on number 11 for Dwight Johnson.
And they've all been gravel county roads?
Yep, gravel county roads, yeah.
Okay, but we don't know, once you do that, you're out, you don't take care of the county road, right? Then it's up to the farmer
It's
after
up to the
that.
farmer after that, usually, yes. We put it back as best as we can possible, so. And the farmers maintain it from there.
Jason, are you aware of any issues that we're having on those areas that they trench?
We had issues right now on a couple spots on 4, but I couldn't tell you if it's from the beet harvest that just came across or it's from the tile being depression. So I know the area they're talking about. I just drove it last week.
That road got insanely messed up by one particular farm.
It's really.
Always happens.
It's not the tiles.
Yeah, they're down to.
There's a mile and a half of it, that's good.
Yeah. Just north of 19.
So what do we do? Let's say we allow this. What do we do with the next guy that comes in and he wants to do it, but it's across pavement?
You okay?
Okay, we have county roads that are paved. What happens there? I want to be careful about setting precedents as well, because, are we gonna start ripping up pavement because we allow this?
We did it with our prime, highway superintendent before, and it was a culvert, which is no different, this is a tube. And that was one of them, they were supposed to take care and maintain, they tore up the tar and everything else, and all of this, and then a year or two later, we're out there adding more tar and fixing. That's where I'm going.
So we have allowed this.
But it's come back and
And
haunted
we've
us.
seen nothing but problems.
Yep. And I think Stephen and I are, but I'm looking at the guy down the road or where we opened this up, like Danny said, we opened a can of worms. I'm just gonna let everybody get.
But then I'm sorry, Karen. Mr. Chairman, then I think that we need to, in my opinion, I don't think it's okay to make someone an example when we have allowed prior. That if we need a policy change, that we do proceed with that for the next farmer. But it doesn't seem fair to me that this has been allowed on the same road in 2 different spots, that we're now gonna just change it just because Ernie's verbally telling us that there's issues. I mean, we don't have anything in front of us telling us whether it's from the beet harvest, whatever. I know, I get that you've been around a long time, but I don't think it's fair to one person to have to take that fall back. Do I think we need to set something going forward? I do. I think on a paved road, there isn't any option other than bore. And we maybe look at that for all roads, but that needs to be something we put as a policy in writing so that we are covered going forward and there's not even a question. We're not even having to determine whether he does this or another farmer. I mean, that's not really fair to someone to say, oh, we let them do it, but we're not letting you do it.
Well, Paul, I don't wanna say policy, it's just things have changed since our past highway guy person left. And since he's gone, we haven't allowed it.
Yeah. And I guess
And that was.
we'd be making policy now.
Yeah. I don't.
We don't
and
have
this
a
is-
policy, but yeah, we gotta change sometime if we're gonna change. But, yeah,
So-
I don't know.
Next spring, somebody comes in and all of a sudden we work on this policy over the winter and he wants to bore through our road, what do we tell him?
Well, that would be the decision we'd make as a policy. If they say, we say you
But
only
he's
can
gonna
bore,
say
then
he
he'll
got
say
to do it.
yes.
He got to do it.
But that's what I'm saying, is that we're making a precedent, we're choosing to determine that. We're not putting that on one person who is doing what everyone else has done before.
I'm just thinking, since he's come, we haven't allowed it, now anybody that comes back gonna say, well, how come you let him and we couldn't do it? We have to bore it.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna look at that.
Yeah.
Since Jason been here, we've never let anybody dig through the road. Now we're gonna let him, and then Joe Blow's gonna say, well, Jesus, when I came in, you wouldn't let me dig the road up, and now you're letting him.
We know that for sure, that nothing has been done.
And nobody's come back and asked to do it? I mean, I'm just,
Not since you've been here that I remember.
Everything I remember for a drainage permit for tile has been aborted.
Right. Now culverts and stuff we've given okay or something, somebody lately, if it has to be, we'd rather have them bore. And I don't even remember any of them that's come through lately since you've been here.
No, most of the stuff that we've had is all boring for anything that's been a utility, it's all been a bore. We have some culverts that we're gonna have to cut road and do replacements for? Yes. We will have those things that we have that we're just gonna have to do it as part of the maintenance of what we have.
But that is
But
the county doing it,
that's our
correct?
staff that will be doing it, we'll be making sure that.
What did we do on the corner of the Vesey and Pisa Road? Make him bore through it. He'll be back here.
It just, Mr. Chairman, from what John has talked about with what they're doing and how they're doing it, yes, I understand precedent, but I agree with it going forward. I do feel that for this instance, it's not like they're just coming in and saying, can we just open trench? And there's not really any background. He just told us what they're gonna do, which sounds like it would be more than boring as far as protecting it, but that's just, I'll stop from that.
So if they agree to let you trench it, you said you'd wait till next spring. When you were sitting here earlier.
Didn't say that exactly would be we would love to do it right now, because Stephen wants it done right now.
What would be the difference for spring?
Settling in the fall, if you don't get enough moisture and everything else, you're gonna have you thought you had a sinkhole on Fort Sugar Road. You get nothing there that compacts it or moisture to do it. You watch what happens with that thing when winter and freezing and thawing goes. That's my concern there too. So, and it'll happen. We see it even on stuff we do. We gotta go back and camp more and everything after spring thaw or fall, and it's done late in the fall.
Well, I don't know, am I reading this right? The consensus is to leave it stand as mooring?
Well, I doubt having another vote would make a difference, even if a couple of us would vote against it, because it wouldn't pass, so.
I guess that's my fears. I'm afraid of precedents. What's gonna happen in the next day?
I think we definitely, after today, need to put this in policy now, even though, you know.
This drain tiling is just getting way ahead of us every time we turn around.
Well, it's not getting out of hand. It's what the farmers want to do, and we can't stop them or make them decide to do something else on a field that they're wanting to do. If I was a farmer and wanted to tile, if Ernie still farmed and he wanted to tile, we have to give people an opportunity to make to better their.
I think you took Danny wrong. What he meant is.
No, I know, but I mean.
What's happening is everybody's doing it and not everybody's following it. Just like I said, we had somebody go under our road without position.
Then maybe I did. I don't think tiling's getting out of hand.
No.
People, we don't have as good of people taking care of their stuff afterwards, and it just, you know, it's just like mud on the road. Not everybody takes their mud off the road, you know? I mean, maybe Stephen does a good job, maybe whoever down the road doesn't do a good job, and then we have to bill them, and I mean, that's just the case. Some people don't even want to take care of it because maybe they're busy, you know, doing field work afterwards, and they'll just say, well, let the county do it, and they'll send you a bill. Well, I mean, we don't want that to happen in this road, because then that's the problem. We don't have time to be fixing that stuff either.
It's typical, 90% of your guys do a great job and do what they say on the permit. It's the 10% that cause trouble everywhere. And where do we stop it?
So if there's been precedent set for by this road being cut a couple of times already, and the worry is the cost of maintaining the road, can you just send me a bill for maintaining it?
It's the liability issue that we're exposing ourselves to with that dip. You know, the cost of maintaining is one thing, but it's the liability that we're exposing ourselves if there is a problem. If there's a hollow spot in there and the road caves in and somebody hits that hole, then it comes back to the county. And that's the thing that scares me on that.
Is there a chance that can happen with borings in your experience? Is the boring solid? I don't have no experience with boring, so.
Yeah, I can't see it being an issue with boring, and I can't see it being an issue with the way we're gonna do it this way. But that's the fear of the board.
I want to wreck your road too.
Well,
you drive on it.
Stephen, I know you all my life and everything else, and I know where you're coming from, but you gotta look at what we're looking at here in the big picture, and that's what sucks.
And I'm looking at prior precedents. And I just have to do what Schuster's done.
But we have learned from prior precedents that that's where we're at, so.
Understood.
You can set a new policy going forward in 2024 that everything must be done a certain way.
That's what we're gonna do.
And this one could just.
There's a lot of issues, and I sit on the water board, and we're just this new century code, and sometimes the water board and us argue about who can do what.
Yeah.
We're gonna put everything in writing, so the commissioner after me or you or Joe Blow, everybody's gonna be treated the same. But you look at century code on the water board and it says maintenance. What's maintenance? What's service? Who's responsible? That's the things we want to get in writing. And it's becoming more complicated. And yeah, we're gonna have a big winter doing a lot of this, but I learned the other day, I asked the water board lawyer, I said, okay, what's maintenance on a drain, and like a bridge? Well, the top is the highway, bottom is the water board. So there's a lot of things I'm learning, and I've been here a long time, but I said, we've got to clear this up so and to me, it's liability. And I know you're gonna say we don't treat everybody the same, but since he's been here, we put stop because we've had issues.
Issues with pavement or ground?
Both. We had issues on pavement before he was here. And I voted that one down, and it came back and it haunted us. I voted them out to, and it was late in the year, they dug through the road, changed the culvert, and it haunted us. Then we went out there and fixed it, and absorbed all the costs.
Well, it's been a good discussion. I mean, I'm way west, we don't drain tile up there. It all runs down here, but.
It all comes to us.
Yeah.
Would it change the vote, the potential vote?
No.
If we were to push it to the spring? If you're concerned about the fall and over the winter,
It all goes if we come with the new issue now and we do the ordinance in the winter, which I'm hoping we get it done, and we put, there's nothing but boring, then we pass that.
just improve.
I guess,
Map for trenching.
I guess if Jason was for it, and I'll tell you what, Stephen, I'll have him and I'll have our guys watch it like a hawk. To me, if he wanted to go with it, I could live with this one, but I just hope we don't get a rush between we change our ordinance in this, because it's gonna hit the paper.
Well, I'll be honest, at $40,000 increase in the project, I'm probably canceling the project.
Yeah, well,
I'm probably not gonna tile the quarter my dad lives on because of this. Gets too complicated. It's already, I've been arguing with John over the price for 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, could you
And so-
reduce your price?
Yeah, he's the problem.
Could you include that? Yeah.
I mean, like,
and I
It's gonna
suppose,
stop me
John's
from-
got his
to stop
job
me from
because-
moving my farm forward.
because of what he
I can't
does.
afford it.
and
It's $200 a day.
and installing a drain pump is gonna be probably more expensive.
yeah, and sadly, there are a lot of people that would like to install drain tile, but they simply can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's
I
just
agree.
gonna put an end to this project. So.
My biggest concerns with it this fall is the soil, the compaction, and making sure everything is compacted with the moistures. That's legit my biggest worries, and then come spring with a thaw, and then not being the same and coming through there and getting a huge problem. That's my biggest concern, is making sure that that is compacted and with the issues, with the sub bases and everything else, and knowing that area of the moisture that you're trying to help get rid of, and know that that base is there, that where that possibility is a problem. But without somebody standing there with a proctor and making sure the compactions are there, that's the biggest concern.
The state can't even get compaction right.
So-
That's what scares me.
Let me bring up something. And I'm just thinking, and I get where you're coming from. If we approve this to get done next spring, date the permit, we approved it now, the work will be next spring. This winter, we change our ordinance. We change it so there'll be nothing but boring instead of this. I can live with that. With your call and you watch the compacting and Stephen's willing to do anything that happens next year on that road, I can live with it. Because by then, the permit will be approved, they'll do the work in the spring, and then come this January or whatever, I'm gonna make sure we do an ordinance that said there'll be no more boring.
Or no more.
Yeah, and if you guys can live with that, I can do it too, but I'm just covering it because the ordinance will be done after we approve this permit. And this is a good issue. This has never really come up to us, and now we can say, okay, moving forward, we're gonna do an ordinance. So I think we can work with it if you're willing. And like I said, take care of it, Stephen, I know you will. I can make a motion that we will move forward. He signs the permit and the work won't be done until next spring. And you're liable for anything else, and maybe if you want to guys look at the liability, if something happens there, the county's covered, that'd be great too. Because liability is one of our issues. And I don't know what good lawyers will do with that, but I can move forward that way. And then we make dang sure we do an ordinance change and make sure nobody bores anymore. And it's tough because we changed highway superintendents and we haven't had any. And I'm probably the biggest one against it because I've seen what it's cost us. But I think he'll do it. If not, I'm gonna call Stephen myself. But I can live with it if you guys will.
It's got a few of us that will.
Well, I guess I'm always willing to work with somebody.
Well, I'm too.
Make sure that the water board needs to be in on this ordinance because
Oh,
the
yes.
design of the project needs, would change dramatically.
I'm on the water board, so they'll be included because I'm on their portfolio and stuff. So we'll be down there talking. And I'll use probably their guidance with it when we do the ordinance.
And Mr. Chairman, I mean, even with John, how you described that, it doesn't even sound just like an open trench. Like that might be something that you guys discussed too. Is it only boring, or is there something that would be as good as boring, not open trenching,
I don't know how you do it.
This is.
Basically what we're doing,
Plow can go through.
yeah, we're taking the road, you're taking 13 feet of road out of the
Yep.
way,
Yeah,
putting it to the side, then the plow installs the pipe
yeah.
through the roadway, and then we put the road back.
The 13 feet is more for your plow than actually the pipe.
Right.
And the plow is actually 11'3" on the bottom of the tracks, so you need a lift
Yep, I get it.
to get down
You
in.
gotta cut it big enough to get a tractor.
Sure.
Yeah,
Or in this case, a cab.
And that's the definition of open trenching.
well, it's half open trenching, half plowing.
That's what I'm saying, is it's kind of blurry there.
I guess the biggest thing is they're cutting through our road.
The road, you move the road surface out of the way and then put it back.
So we need another motion to,
I just did one. I said I'd make a motion that
okay,
as long as they sign it and do the work next spring, I can move forward, and then we'll change. The motion has nothing to do with our new change, so.
That's not gonna look very clean, is it?
Well, I wouldn't put the ordinance there. I'll just make a
Yeah.
motion that Steven signs the permit and everything else in the open boring cutting through the road will be done next spring. Cause if he wants the drainage, I usually can do that this year, and you just wait for the cut come spring, right? Yeah, I don't know, I don't wanna put you on the timeline, but
You asked, with drain tiling, it's not advisable to start at the top and work your way downhill.
yeah,
oh, okay.
not in that case.
Yeah, this is gravity.
It would saturate the road,
Well, my understanding is that entire quarter would wait until next spring, which in this case is acceptable to me versus not doing it.
Okay.
Right, and that's why I made the
It's a
motion.
compromise on all.
Right.
I'm gonna have crop loss next year because we don't get to tile it this fall. We have to do it next spring, but it's better than not doing it at all. Compromise.
Amy seconded it.
In further discussion?
I just don't like that idea myself. I just think we've gotta make it cleaner than that. Either do it now or not.
But then when do we change the ordinance? That's the trouble. Remember,
For 2024.
yeah, and that's what I said, over the winter, we'll have to start
Well, we can talk about it at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, then somebody's gonna come back and say, well, yeah, let's see you do it.
But if we change the ordinance,
I know, but it's,
But we also, Denny, we let other people, Itis is doing it twice,
well, I
so
know,
that's.
but we learned by that mistake,
Mr. Chairman, we also are saying he's not doing it till the spring,
right?
so that is gonna make a difference. People aren't just gonna come up, I don't think, and say, well, I'm gonna tile now because I can go through the road. They probably aren't gonna wait till next spring. I mean,
And
he's
I don't know-
willing to.
I don't know if we call it changing an ordinance.
No,
Look
we
at
aren't.
planning, look at the planning and zoning, we're thinking of making an ordinance control more.
I think we'd be implementing a new policy.
Right, a new policy, I think that's a better.
We
word.
don't have
Right.
one in writing right now.
Right.
I mean, we had a precedent that since you've been here, we haven't done one.
Right.
How do you feel about this, Jason?
I feel a lot better with the ripping out the entire road and going through it, and getting everything compacted out, when you're only going 13 feet. Gives you a soft spot, it gives you issues, unless you're putting it all back together at the same time. In the spring compared to fall, where you're not looking at the freeze, that's staring us in the face. You're not gonna be looking at the chunks. In the spring, where you're gonna be in the warming, so you're gonna get the compactions a lot better. In my opinion, the spring compacting it would be a lot.
Yeah, depending on the weather. What if we end up with a wet spring and summer, then we're not gonna have any compaction.
Well, they probably won't dig through the road then.
Yeah.
But we're just giving them permission to do it.
Well, but I mean, it's gotta be dry enough to do it. How are they gonna dig through the road if it's all mush?
Yeah.
You know?
They'll dig through it.
Is there something that we could do different this fall to guarantee better compaction? Some type of machinery that I can get in there to
What type of,
do better compaction?
what are you using for compactions? What do you have?
Just a sheep's foot on excavator boom.
Those are hit and miss when you're looking at 13 feet. You know, looking at.
We gotta compact every layer, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even compacting every layer, you're not very wide. You know, what those and getting your compactions, you're gonna get through it, making sure you have the moisture. If you get a frozen piece, the bottom drops out of it, I'm wondering what are you looking at doing this next week?
Yeah.
When we're still looking at 40s, 50s, or are we gonna be freezing nights where all of a sudden you got?
The reason we're here is we wanted to do it before Halloween, yeah.
Any further discussion on it? Any further discussion? We'll call for a vote. Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Can I vote maybe?
It's a tough one.
Vote what you.
I'm gonna vote no. And I'm sorry, Stephen, but I have a hard time with somebody cutting through our contracts when we have proof that it has not been good.
Great.
I'll say yes, and like I said, I'm gonna watch it like a hawk. I'm not gonna have another issue come back at us.
I'm gonna have to vote no. I just don't like the precedent for a second.
I understand your side of it, that I
I do-
just did
I
set
do too.
precedents, but we changed it but we didn't change it in writing, but we
Exactly.
changed when Jason came on, who said no more of this, and we should have done a better job about getting that out to the public, so you would have been informed and known that if I decide to tile, this cost is included. You know, this cost to bore is included, so that's on us. So I guess the fact that you've been approved. What?
Do we have to change that permit?
Yep.
Well, the permit is signed for it, so I just don't put that stipulation, you just change the only thing I do is say the permit doesn't start this spring, after the spring. So we just put it for the date for after the spring for installation and we put in the same, put in stipulations on the compactions that we agreed to today. You compact in layers.
So will you be involved when they go out there this spring to do it, or do they just get to go do it, or are you involved so that you can say
We can have some.
conditions are?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tight and different things, but we'll wanna know more, just for sure.
So Stephen, you could keep him in contact with Jason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen's good at being in contact with me, I've never had any issues. We worked on a couple of things with drainage and stuff, so.
Moving forward, Jason, why don't you reword our permit so it says boring moving forward in 24? And then we'll can bring it down to the water board and talk it over with them.
I'll work with Kelly on that one and.
Yep.
All those other ones we talked about, what's better ways. We'll get those. We can work on the cleanup so we can go, so we'll have to have our 2 meetings and all that fun stuff too.
I can tell this discussion isn't over. Thank you for bringing it.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate it, Stephen.
We got everything covered?
One more.
The special meeting,
My thing.
the special meeting for
We talked about that
For the water board?
during water board just
the,
now.
but we didn't agree on the time or anything, right?
Oh, I thought it was just gonna be after the meeting.
Yeah, well, it's a special meeting, so we have to, I would assume we have to
Post it.
announce it, post it,
Yeah.
treat it just like a normal meeting.
10 AM was the time.
Yes, they thought, I had talked to Sarah quite a bit with this, they have an 11 o'clock, meeting, so they wanted it done right away. They said that it goes very quick, so they thought a 10 o'clock time, special meeting, 10 o'clock, October 24th, to discuss the government drains that the water board will be discussing.
What time does the water board start then?
It is at 8:30. Yep, 8:30, the public hearing for government drains will be. And then per century code, the meeting will have to be attended by 2/3 of the county commissioners.
Yeah.
Then after that, the commissioners then have to approve the drain assessments prior to the November 1st. Or prior to November 1st.
Usually we just come upstairs, somebody makes it, because the water board already approved it, we just, if they get accepted, we make the motion and it's done.
So is there 3 that can attend, because I'm not sure that I can, I think I'm gonna be in a great heart.
I'll be here. I'll be here.
Okay.
And that's down in the.
Farmer's room.
Okay.
But that many drains, I don't know, sometimes they get a lot of opposition or whatever, it'll probably be standing room only.
Wow.
You've been at them, Todd, where a lot of people come. Yeah,
you never
and it
know.
just depends on the opposition. This
Yeah.
is more maintenance
What
stuff, so
grade it is.
it's not nothing new, so there shouldn't be a lot, but there's always somebody that objects to it. But it's a maintenance deal, you know?
Okay, so I will post, the agenda. I'll send you guys an agenda and I'll post it. We'll have a meeting next week. Okay.
Oh.
Was there anything else?
Anything else? Anything else for the commission to deal with today?
Been enough.
Yeah, somebody's gonna invite dinner pretty soon. All right, we will adjourn. Thank you.
So, you